Hello and welcome back to the Metropole Grid. My name is Andre. It is the November. Whoa, hold on. I got hung up on the 9, and so I got an N. It is September 9th, 2021. How's everyone doing today? It's a Thursday evening around my parts. Oh, the air conditioner's still on, actually. That I need to go rectify. Give me 1 second. Okay, wait, I'll put the music back on. We'll do this. No, we won't do this again. Give me 1 second. Flawless. Like butter. How's everyone doing? Happy Cyrano Day? Rain, what do you mean? What is that? Also, John, the Canadian English leadership debate or the Metropole Grid, tough choice. I don't know if you know, but advanced voting actually starts this weekend. I think you can do it all weekend, John. I think that's the idea around my parts, so that you don't have to deal with like huge queues and crowds and stuff like that. Because Canada is doing an election. We're doing a democracy. So get to the poll, get yourself registered. Choose the name you like the most. Shape your future and the future of your neighbors. Baza, how's it going? Happy Thursday. How you doing? Welcome. It's been, I think we're just coming up. We just wrapped up a huge month of Netrunner when it comes to August. We finished Continentals, followed by a next weekend of Continentals. My polling station is literally in my building. Oh, dang. Dang, that's easy. Okay, man. Do it, please, in a bathrobe and slippers, because that is the way that our 4 people really intended for us to participate. Either that or like dress really nice. I think it's one of the two extremes. Yeah, so we had 3 Continentals last month, the 3 different regions. Oh, there technically was a 4th region as well. And then that was followed up by, we had an Eternal tournament last weekend and Intercontinentals. Did y'all watch that? I couldn't watch too much of it live, but I watched most, if not all, of the VODs, which was really fun. So you can catch that stuff. Again, if you don't know where that stuff is, you're thinking, oh, I want to watch that. Where is that? You can watch the Eternal testing tournament on Vesper's channel. So Vesper_DBS. Again, the links are always in the show notes, but check that out. Vesper streamed the Eternal testing tournament. A couple commentators. It was really good stuff. So do check that out. Again, it's, I think, only on Twitch right now, but you can watch this at like 2x speed if you really want to. I'll watch a lot of content at 2x speed because I talk really fast. And I think it's like a problem that feeds upon itself. And if you want to watch the Intercontinentals, which is such a fun format, you have that on Project Nisei's Twitch channel. And this will be here for about 30 days before Twitch just eats it. But it should be up on YouTube at some point after. So I am... it was a good time. Go check that stuff out. It is broken in with a break, but it's all there. Borealis hype. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We really do. Ixron, how's it going? Connor. Borealis hype as well. Yeah, right. They announced the new cycle. We'll talk about it really quickly, but then we'll do the deck list of the week and we'll go back to it. But if you don't know, they did just announce a new cycle called Borealis. It has this image here. I imagine that is, I don't know if that's actually like a thing coming to like the story or whether that is just going to be the logo. Mind you, Borealis takes place in the Arctic, not the Antarctic, the Arctic. 65 brand new cards, the set. Wait, 65 brand new cards. That's a small set. Sets are usually 130 cards, 120 cards, right? Oh, because Borealis is, okay, there's a confusion here. Borealis is a cycle, but Borealis is also a set, the first set in the Borealis cycle. So the Borealis will be the cycle name, the Borealis cycle, but then Borealis is the first set of it, which is 65 cards, and then what's it called? Parhelion will be the next 65 cards. So that is cool. When is that coming out? I don't know. I don't think we're going to see it before Worlds. We have a date for Worlds, mind you. So that's pretty good. Macaroni, I devoured all the VODs. Great stuff. Got a bit bored by Sports and Max by the end of it all, though. Yo, Macaroni, I hear you, and I think like the meta is a bit more homogenous than anybody would want when it comes to competitive tables specifically. I do think, though, the games are still very exciting, and I think a big part of that is like the accessing on sports is like super aggressive, and it needs to be, and there's huge combo pieces. So I think it is exciting, but I understand that there's a lot of it, and maybe for some people, you know, you'd rather see like, oh, what else is in the card pool? What's Jinteki look like? Stuff like that. But I hear you. CBS, how's it going as well? I feel like because we aren't getting a release date, it's not coming this year. Super Duke's excited for neutral IDs. It's a half set. Yeah, no, I goofed it. I know people were talking about this online too. Be like, there's a confusion. It's called Borealis, but then the cycle's called Borealis. And Nisei responded to that and be like, hey, we put a lot of effort into this to make sure it's not confusing. And maybe that's, it got me. That's true. 65 seems to be the preferred method. Yeah, so that is exactly like Ashes. I think Ashes was also 130 cards and 265 sets. They're brand new cards, and there's a lot of important things to understand here is that going forward, Nisei wants to distance themselves as much as possible from the old FFG world of Netrunner. So things like the mini factions are not going to be continued to be supported. You're not going to see the names and locations of FFG characters or places from my understanding. So they're like really branching out and doing their own thing. And this set takes place in the Arctic, which is very interesting to see what's going on there. Funny enough, there's a parallel right now with the stuff coming out from Fantasy Flight Games from Arkham Horror, the living card game, where that's exploring the Antarctic. Technically the two farthest places apart, but we think they're very similar because they look cold. But I'm stoked for this. Again, I don't think it's going to be coming this year. I think it's going to be beginning of next year. Also, of course, Order and Chaos and Mumbet Cycle are rotating, and that is a sizable rotation when this set comes out. Like, I've said this many times before, having new cards, really important, really exciting for sure. But sometimes just losing cards that have been staples, the sort of cards that you depend on, like Max, or I've Had Worse, or I don't know. That is super impactful. Like not having Jeeves, what does that do to the meta? Not having, there's a lot of good cards in the Mumbet Cycle. A lot of cards that are banned as well. There are at least 2 good Jinteki cards. Rain, what are they? It's Anoetic. I don't know the second one. What's the second one? I like the idea of having smaller sets of actually playable cards. That was a huge strength of SG for me. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And like, oh man, there's something that's so different if you've been getting into this game now as opposed to how it used to be. And I'm not saying one is better or one is worse, but back in the day, back in my day, when I was playing Netrunner, I was 12 years old. They came out with like 20 cards every month, which is just wild. The idea is like the meta was constantly being shaken up. If something seemed really dominant, it might not be that case next month. And we were constantly like deck building, or constantly like trying to solve new problems or trying out new cards. And like it's obviously a lot different from now, a lot different now than it was then. We get a lot of cards at once. 65 cards at once obviously is a bit. So there's a lot of cards that haven't been explored fully that probably could be. But it's just like times like this where I really love a shake up to the meta. Admittedly, that did happen at the end of last year, and I didn't like it. It's just totally different. It's really interesting to see how the model is now. Obviously, this works better for Nisei. Rating party inbound. Yo, Yusengren, how's it going? Yo, I reckon that you're rating right now, and I'm bummed because I don't get to watch your stream when you stream on Thursdays, because at this point I'm like eating dinner and doing stuff and preparing because I know my Thursdays are going to be locked down in front of a computer. But Yusengren is rating. Yo, welcome. How's it going, everyone? Yo, what up, Giles? Your kids, how's your wife? How's the stream? Let's more of these odd cards get a spot in the sun. I definitely missed that. Yeah, there'd be like a card would come out and it'd be only 20 cards. It'd be like 10 runner cards to talk about, and like 3 of them were good, 3 of them were bad, and then maybe 4 of them were interesting. And so you spend some time trying to make something work, as opposed to right now where like they give you just so many good cards at once. It's very easy for you not to look at the cards that are mediocre. But back then it'd be like, oh wow, a data pack came out. What is this thing? I actually don't even know the name. What's the name of that cybernetic that lets you trash cards? Stim? No. You know the one that lets you trash cards to access more cards? Genevra, excuse me. How's it going? I always say Geneva. I think Minerva, but it's not right. Eternal Stream, very fun. Severnius, thank you, Jazz. Eternal Stream was really fun. I had a great time. Admittedly, I think Pat and I deck built at different levels of cruelty to one another, and I think he kind of just played it safe while I was like, let's see if I can ruin this man. So apologies if that was like super one-sided. I think maybe we have to deck build for each other as well. But like, check this out. 92 meat damage. I think it was more than, I think it was 94. Don't sell ourselves short. This is a card that if it came out, right, like it's not that flashy, but this would be one of the things that you were talking about that month. This was a card, you try it, you build it, you made a fun deck. It wasn't great, you'd forget about this card. But that sort of cycle, I think, is something that I miss. But you know, things are different. Having some fun trying to build and play Eternal. What are you building, Sengren? Have you polished your? I saw you play your diaper list a bit. I know that you were not on Leprechaun, if I'm not mistaken, and I think Leprechaun is the way. And I saw you do some comboing during the tournament. What was your testing? How does that come to? I'm trying to figure out how to do standard legal neutral IDs for a minute. It seems almost impossible. Why do you think though, Ixaran? Like, couldn't you just give 30 influence? Like, imagine you play Sunny, but you don't play Sunny cards, right? And let's say it's a neutral ID. Is the camera good enough to see there's like a little fly buzzing around? Because then it can bother not just me, it can bother everyone, and that would be like really nice. We could bond about that. Coco CI and hate Bear today. Oh man, there was an Eternal tournament. You could play some of those decks versus Pat. Yeah, I think today we're gonna do something different. I have like a deck building thing to do. It's really weird right now because right, you know, it used to be competitive season and now we're not in competitive season. Mind you, Worlds has been announced to be November 20th, which is amazing to have a date, or it's at the weekend of the November 20th. Worlds will be online. So again, get involved if you can. Worlds is so good. It slaps. Like having it in person would be amazing. Obviously it's hard to do that. But having it online where anyone can get involved, there's side tournaments, there's streams, side events. I don't even mean tournaments. There's a lot going on. I really recommend you, if you can, you know, put some marker around that calendar date. I'm not sure yet. Got to decide something tomorrow. Wait, why? What's tomorrow? Is the game center thing? Agendas. It just seems really, really hard to have power diversity when creating new. Oh, because of the agendas for the neutral thing. Yeah, you're right. I think you have to do something about that because I don't think they want the neutral corp just to play neutral agendas. There's a chance they'll let you play one agenda of per name per faction. I think that could be reasonable, but I think making an agenda suite out of all factions could be problematic. You're flying out to OTG tomorrow. Oh, yo, Yusengren. Yes, okay. OTG is this is the Mead Crew presents the 2021 Off the Grids Midwest Championship. This is something that if you live around those parts, and by those parts I mean the old FFG game is Center, which we can all agree is a great name. There's an event being run. I'm not sure who's exactly running. It's Orbital Tangent, right? It says right there, Orbital Tangent, who you might know from the Slumscast podcast, is organizing this event. So Game Center used to be the FFG Game Center. And then it was sold to Asmodee, and then the person at FFG, I forget his name, the guy who made the Space Lions, has bought it back. And so now there's going to be a big Netrunner event this weekend. So if you can make it, $15 tickets, it's going to be awesome. There's a lot of stuff going on. 2-day Netrunner tournament. It's going to emulate Worlds up to 64 players. I imagine there is a capacity there. This looks amazing. Do you know if this is being streamed? Sengren? Because I'd love to see this. Also, get vaccinated, prove that you've done such, and bring a mask. COVID statement. So do stay safe, of course, with big tournaments. But this is awesome. This is really cool that this is getting organized, especially because Worlds, like there are people who can make this, that can play safely in person. And so this is some people's pseudo like World celebration, which I think people are like really antsy to get back together. Hopefully y'all stay safe. Ginevra says Australians love online Worlds. Yo, it's the best. Time zones, you know, get a bit hard, I reckon, for that part of the world. The rules currently say you'd pay neutral influence, though I assume that would change for agendas. CTZ streaming it. Okay, cool. So I reckon you can find that on CTZ's stream. So that's, I think, youtube.com/San Francisco, or it actually just might be youtube.com/Jackson Howard, and it might be twitch.tv/San Francisco. Yeah. No. What is it? Is it Jackson Howard? Am I just spelling it wrong? What is the CTZ stream? Yeah, Jackson Howard's the YouTube, right? YouTube Jackson Howard. But I don't think they stream on YouTube. I think they just upload VODs on YouTube. So what's the Twitch channel? Am I just spelling it right? Is Twitch case sensitive? Did I just... No, apparently not. Why can't I get there? Bushi, thank you. Also, it's your deck list of the week we're going to play in a second. How you doing? Why is this different than mine? Oh, San Francisco spelled different. It's Frank. Like Francia. I was France with an S. Whatever, I'm wrong. It's right here. Flight leaves tomorrow. Heck yeah. That's so cool. I know there's a lot of people that are super excited to get in on this this event this weekend. So that's awesome. Have fun, y'all. So check this out. It'll be streamed here. Again, all this stuff will be in the show notes. If you don't know how to get here, it's a struggle for me to get here, but now it'll be in the show notes. So I'll just click on that, which is fantastic. But again, there's a lot to talk about when it comes with Borealis. There is notes and an article, that June put together talking about like what's in the set. This is really, really exciting. So we'll get to this in a bit. Tonight, we're going to start with the deck list of the week. Then we're going to do some news. We have a lot to talk about. And then we're going to do some goofy deck building, some really silly deck building. And that should largely kind of deal with the evening, I guess. Parallel, how's it going? Hey, Jet. I assume neutral will become a faction instead of becoming factionless. I don't know about that. Neutral technically has always been considered sort of a faction, right? If you do look at things like Indian Union. I think Indian Union says out of faction. Okay, so neutral is technically considered out of faction. That doesn't mean necessarily it's a faction. But if there's a neutral identity, it should operate identically to the ones that come in System Gateway. Right? Like what's the System Gateway one called? Syndicate? But then it'll tell you like something like the first agenda you spend, because agendas don't have influence, which is the issue. Right? Because any agenda besides like neutral agendas don't have influence. So maybe it'll say you can have one agenda per name from out of faction. Indian Union actually explains it. Is neutral considered out of faction? Yes, neutral cards do not belong to a faction. Okay, so it's specifically saying it's not a faction. Cool. Are they going to make mini facts neutral faction? I don't know. It might seem like that they're going to basically make a mini faction and have something that's like very thematic, but not dedicate its own card pool to that. And maybe that makes sense. Like they don't release that many cards compared to like FFG, that it might be hard to be like, here's 2 mini factions and they get 10 cards a year or 5 cards a year. Like that might be difficult. So maybe the people on Nisei just want to make a neutral ID and then make that still play like its own mini faction. Like have it, have access to a powerful ability, or I don't know, have really high influence neutral cards. I don't honestly know how you do it. The professor, but with agendas. Yeah, exactly. The professor, but with agendas. I think it's a good way of looking at it. I'm interested to see what abilities of the neutral IDs will be. Also, there would be some big balancing concerns associated with them. I don't know if it's that big, right? Like, the issue with balancing is if you give too much influence, you're basically just saying take whatever you want. And you end up with a deck with like the strongest cards from every faction. So that's kind of the issue, is that if you have a huge number, like 50 influence, they could do that and make something like really degenerate. I guess the mini factions 25 is a lot, but it doesn't go that far. Like once you start spending a 4 influence card, like you don't have that much influence to work with. So you end up spending a lot of the in faction, Atom stuff or Sunny stuff or whatever. Self-applaud, how's it going? Welcome, how you doing? No influence for GFI, merger, and V audit. No, merger's not influence. There's no way merger's influence. Merger's influence. Sick. Sick. Possibly they could do some kind of rebirth equivalent for the corp. It allows different agendas to be played in merger talks. Yo, I think rebirth for a corp is something that the original FFG designers never wanted to do. And I agree with it because it is a nightmare for balance. An absolute nightmare for balance. It's worse if you rebirth between factions. But I felt like, I don't know, it feels like that the corporation's identity has the bigger say in how their gameplay plays than the runner's identity to the most part. And I remember FFG being very against that. Now, of course, Nisei doesn't have to be that way, but having, I don't know what like the bad options were. I remember there was tournaments where you could actually take a deck and then play a different faction ID on it. And there was strong limitations because there were some versions that were just like straight up busted, like Titan Transnational. You build a Titan deck Or sorry, you build an NBN fast advance deck and then you become Titan. So every agenda you score gets an agenda counter on it. So then you start playing Project Beal as a 3/3. Or your Astro scripts back in the day would come in with counters. Like, you could do some ridiculous stuff. One merger rotate before the new neutral can use it. Merger seems like it would be from... Yes, merger will rotate. Yes. The prof, but with agenda seems problematic. 2 agenda combos can I get removed from the card pool if any exist? What are like the really bad agenda counter combos? Is there anything that's like super problematic if you could mix 2 agendas from 2 factions? Because I can't think anything off the top of my head. A lot of the problems dealt with Titan specifically, and Titan no longer is a thing. Astro's no longer a thing. I don't know if there's anything that's like too bizarre. I think it's cool that only runner has rebirth asymmetry wise. Yeah, I don't mind it. And it makes more sense for the runner to be able to like radically reinvent themselves as opposed to a corporation, which I don't know, hostile takeover, but there's a lot of paperwork involved, I reckon. A lot. I don't know. Is there any 2 agendas that like if you put into a deck are like super problematic? I don't think so. Right? Like what, you just run all the neutral agendas anyways. That's what's a good agenda suite is. I think what would be a problem is if you ended up with all the 1-of per decks in a deck, like all the 3/2 1-of abilities, even the Jodeki one, like that one might be an issue just because you have way more 3/2s than you're allowed classically. Even that might not even be true. It's like HB has like 7 3/2s somehow right now. Solmir has hanging. It's hanging good. It's hanging well. We're just about to play. This is a 5/1 American Continentals deck. This is Bushi's deck. It's a Tau deck. It seems aggressive. Kind of cool. A lot of cool things going on here. It's a Shaper deck. I'm not sure the standard card pool. In the card pool at large, there are some. In the card pool at large, there must be some. But Nisei doesn't really need to balance Eternal like that. It was fun. Conduit never got played. Yo, why'd you end up on Tau, Bushi? I read the write-up a while ago. But I'm not sure if you mentioned why. Also, I did not realize for a long time that Not to Bees was Greg. And then I listened to the ShadowNet and they were talking about, Greg was talking about like going to the tournament and playing the exact deck that Not to Bees played. And I'm like, what's happening? But yeah, generally, has Greg always been playing under Not to Bees? Because I recognize him more as crit hit D20. So I did not know Not to Bees was Greg until we were matched. I didn't know either. The commentators, we didn't know. And I feel really bad about that. Because I think we were also expecting Greg to play Shaper, and Greg was not playing Shaper. Greg was still playing a pretty interesting deck, but anywho, this is a Tau deck. You might have been familiar with Tau if you played System Gateway. It's a really fun ability. I think this ability is fantastic, but this isn't exactly the sort of decks that I think everyone was shoehorning into Tau for the first couple weeks when Tau came out. They were like really strong at capitalizing on mispositioning of ice or overextending and then having all your de-res ice on one server where you could like jam a conduit down and close the game. This deck doesn't look to be exactly like that. It's also the sort of deck that we've been seeing more and more in Shaper that's actually running Onacom and an event package, which is just so refreshing to see. That you have cards in faction, you have a lot of good neutral stuff, you have only 2 creative commission. Interesting. 3 sure gamble. You have the overclocks, the dirty laundry. Multi-axis is super limited in this deck. It's only specifically conduit. Like we've seen what's it called? Jailbreak as like a double draw in aggressive Shaper decks, which I'm a big fan of, but this is all we got. We have 2 DZ MZs, which is nice for setting up. We have 2 simul chips. 3 boomerang is pretty wild. I don't think I've seen a Shaper deck with 3 boomerang for a while. Resource package is like immensely light for what we might recognize Shapers to do. 3 daily casts and a Beth. I don't know if there's any resource that I think we're leaving that's like a real disadvantage for us. I think maybe telework contract is good, but I'm assuming our event package is just more aggressive. We've got Corroder, not spending the extra influence on paperclip. Mind you, Arc Lockdown is a thing modernly. Nanotech is probably too expensive, I think Bushi says, and we could play an Ika in the slot. Haven't seen this card for a long time, but this used to be the best. What's it called? The best killer in the game. And Unity, which everyone agrees is pretty fine. Otherwise, we have Clot, which is really powerful in this meta, and I think they should expect it in a Shaper list, so they will have to play around that. We have Conduit. Misdirection is our nice trick against the tags, which are still there. People are playing Acme, and I guess the Acme decks aren't running too heavily on tags, but there's CTM and yellow decks you have to worry about, even Wayland stuff, and 2 Rizekis and 2 SMCs. These sort of things where like you're only running 2 self-modifying codes, and admittedly, it is a 40-card deck, so you're a bit smaller. I like these changes where like back in the day, people just ran 3 SMCs, 3 clone chips, and you know, that was nice. Zhao says I love Boomerang Tau, and yeah, in retrospect, Boomerang actually is really cool in Tau because if it's on a piece of ice that isn't rezzed, and then the ice gets moved, the Boomerang moves with it, right? The token stays on it, so that's actually really cool if you want to like, oh, I'm gonna run R&D, steal an agenda, put something on here, and move it around. Bucci says there are a lot of times where I could just camp the remote and pick agendas out of HQ. New deck has jailbreaks. Okay, is the new deck the one that you just posted above? So Bushi is in Twitch chat right now. So this is upgraded after Continentals. Bushi, you reckon we should just jump into this? Because I do like a lot of these changes. The Imp, I'm a huge fan. I think we lost also the conduit. We're running a single turning wheel instead. Otherwise, we have the 2 jailbreaks coming in off of the... What did we lose for those? 17 events. Oh, oops. Some amount of events. How does this play versus CTM versus NEH? I feel like this one struggles. I'd imagine it'd be very difficult against those unless you get like early Rozeki or 2 down. This one's I reckon a fair bit better. The fact that we can like recur our imp a couple times. Admittedly, we can only play at most 3 imps. Deuces. Oh, deuces are in this deck. Okay, cool. And deuces is technically a good card against the CTM matchup. But I'm going to start with this one and then we'll maybe play one with the other one and see how it goes. Because I already have this one loaded in. But the amount of multi-axis I think is pretty surprising. But if we play like control and just check the remote and then just ping off the top of R&D, maybe we'll be fine. Maybe we can just blow someone out too when they drop too low and we just slam a conduit, go R&D. I'm missing with the Imp because I can get into HQ, kill the fast advance tools, and also hit Seamless against PD. I feel like Imp is just my favorite card in the modern meta. And we've been seeing, like, just whole last weekend, like, criminals just not being able to deal with Vacheron or fast advance in a meaningful way in the Sportsmetals. Imp is just so strong. It just, there's no bad matchup for that card. Like, there's trash assets, trash ice, trash events, trash Vacheron. It's good. Ooh, Argus, we have a misdirection still. Yes. This is also not a bad thing for Imp. I need to watch the VOD. I need to spend time with family before going away to OTG. Yeah, no, hey, no worries. Thanks for dropping by at least and sharing the new deck list. Enjoy your OTG tournament. This is Argus. It is rotating eventually with Order and Chaos. First agenda, or sorry, all agendas whenever stolen. It's a tag or 2 meat damage. And admittedly, back in the day, I don't know, for a while Anarch was really powerful and this ability didn't matter too much. You just almost always take the 2 meat damage. It's less relevant than it used to be because we don't see things like Sea Source into Scorched Earth where having 3 cards in hand is a problem. So the damage is more just about tempo if they jam like a City Works project or something like that. Oh. This is a hard keep? Yeah, we'll do it. We got Diesel into casts, Boomerang for early pressure. Deuces is a nice way if we want to take the tag and clear it in the same click. I was thinking Imp's so useful these days given how old it is. Yeah, I know. It's like just such a flexible card and it's been around forever. And there's a while that wasn't been played. And admittedly we got a lot more virus support, but it just feels and seems good. They opened with Spin Doctor after a keep. That's weird. Ooh. I don't know what Solomir was playing at APAC. I can't read your name without hearing CDZ say Bushi in the Ganked stream. So they have a remote open. I have no idea what this could possibly be. I don't think there's anything we're scared of if we don't run it. So I think we're just gonna go ahead and set up here. Getting the daily cast down early is good. We can diesel, hopefully draw into a Rozeki. Damn, we're good. So we could like Dirty Laundry R&D, but if we do that and dump these 2 cards, we'll be on 3 credits and they could pretty easily, well, not economic warfare us because I don't think we'll have enough money, but they could hard hit and use us, which could be disastrous. So I think maybe we just install SMC to threaten vaguely what's it called? A takeover, hostile takeover, and then we get down the cast and the Rozeki. I think that's fine. We can just put this one down as well. We can't actually pull anything with it. We don't have enough money, but we'll be getting 3 credits for the next couple turns, and that's good because money does usually matter in this matchup. Regolith. Oh, geez. Okay. That's 6 credits. We have to Dirty Laundry this. So they basically res for 4, gain 9. Sorry, res for 2, gain 9. So 7 credits, and we still have to bring it down. So we could easily get hard hitting used here. I'm aware of that. We're just going to try and get as much money as we can. We'll draw 2 first, gain 3. If we Dirty Laundry this, we have to access with 3 credits. So we have to do credit Dirty Laundry, credit. But we can't leave them with this money, I don't think. And this could easily just be such a problem, but we have access to misdirection, so we should be fine. The issue here is that we're going to have enough money for them to economic warfare us. It's kind of in our best interest sometimes to just like go down to 3 credits by like installing a boomerang. Sometimes that is actually the right play, but like I don't want to boomerang the HQ ice. There's not really that much we can do with it. We could run and trash Spin Doctor, but they probably won't let us. We also ran the Regolith before the Spin Doctor, so now they can shuffle the Regolith back in. So like we didn't plan our turn well if that was the thing we want to do. I'll just click for a credit. It just wouldn't be the end of the world if you got mixed direction. Yeah, it's not bad. It's still like a 6 credit play here. And we'll start with 3 credits, so I think we'll always have enough money, but if they like economic warfare us, we start at 2, it will be at 3, 4, 5, so we have to pull it out for 2, and then we have to spend 4, so we'll be fine, as long as we have 2 clicks and 4 credits at some point in our turn. We're also on 6 credits, so they have to spend a bit. That's a drudge work. Oh, that is frustrating. Global Food Initiative, okay, so that still could mean they're on a punitive list. Generally save deuces if you're trying to play around hard news. You think you really do that, Yusengren, too, if you have access to misdirection? I feel like it would be good if we're like running centrals, but... And they shuffled in and above the law as well, so it looks like they're not trying to score it too heavily. We could just like slam conduit here. We'll open with the diesel. Yeah, I think we're just going to dirty laundry R&D. We might want to threaten this thing again. I think we'll threaten the Spin Doctor first. Yeah, I think we save it for Argus triggers if we have misdirection. That's a predictive planogram. Okay, so that is... They look like they want to tag us. That's not really a surprise here. So we'll run server 1. They probably don't have any agendas in hand. I don't think we're going to pressure HQ that heavily, but we could consider trashing the dredge work. I think we're more likely to hit the creative commission last. And we'll just trash that apparently. Okay, cool. Well, now we're at parity. So this card is really strong. It's annoying. It means that they're trying to set up for an alternate win condition that isn't like scoring agendas. Generally, that might be moneying us up, sometimes hitting us with like just continually replaying urban renewals. There's really annoying stuff. But we've seen like 3-pointers and 2-pointers. We haven't seen enough agendas to know that they're not on a punitive plan, because they could be on like 6 3-pointers and above the law. Oh, well, there's another food. They have a lot of money. Okay. Well, I think server 4 could be a snare. That would suck. I don't know what server 4 could be that we're worried about. Regolith, maybe. I'm going to check it first. I don't know. I think this easily could be a snare. Oh, it's another Spin Doctor. That makes sense. So they're going to shuffle in a Spin Doctor and probably the Regolith. I'd be surprised if they value another dredge work here. But we know there's so many agendas in R&D, so we're just going to slam R&D once they shuffle in. So they did the Spin Doctor and Regolith. Okay. So we'll run R&D. It's an Overseer Matrix. Uh-oh. They're on some clown car of upgrades. We just want to let that not happen. Boy. I wish we had Imp, Bushi. Bushi, I wish we had Imp. They can draw that. Okay. Yeah, maybe we should actually just dunk our conduit down there, because we know they're not drawing ice. They have a lot of cards in hand though, so they may be able to fix this, but we could just like dunk our conduit down and try and close the game. OM is solid APOC 8. It's not that much better than Snare. In the server means in the root of the server. So like this is good if they're stacking multiple price X, or like they're forcing you to trash with Mumbet like we saw, but like I don't think this is particularly that much better, or like trashing Snare itself can be a problem, but this is not that much better than price X. Price X is I think a lot better too, because you can hit the APOC. It's kind of like Ares. Yeah, it's kind of like Ares, but like price X every day of the week. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna get the conduit down. We should have done this before, I think. We can creative commission last click. Yeah, whatever. We'll start ripping through it. Hard hitting news, okay. Into a mouseless, so that's ice. False lead. Oh, that's terrifying. Because they actually might be on. So they have a hard hitting news in hand. So we can take the 2 meat damage here and hope that we keep the creative commission, or we can take the tag and clear the tag. And it's such a huge difference, right? Because if we take the, there could be a false lead on the table. That's actually a huge problem for us. Not so much with misdirection, but we lost our SMC. Actually, using our SMC here into hardening news is a problem. But if we lose this to meat damage, I'm gonna take the meat damage and hope. Yeah, okay, so we lost the corroder and the DZ, that's fine. We'll just hit this button. The load server with upgrades that tags the heck out of you if you APOC. Oh yeah. Oh, you're totally right. I didn't realize that. I thought I was only going to protect the server itself. But yeah, okay, I see it. I see it. Because the idea is that you can res everything and then they get dunked on. That's neat. That's probably a mouseless. We don't deal with mouseless too well. In fact, we deal with mouseless like really poorly. Hopefully we'll move it and like hope this is an Afshar in HQ or something. It's either MVT or a Prizek. I don't know what this stuff is, but it looks like we're not getting hardening news unless they do this last click. Okay. So that's an MVT in server 5. So these false leads are looking pretty bad. I like this deck and has a lot of startup cards. Makes for easy transition standard. Vizier, how's it going? The Tau deck? Because yes. Oh, that's good to have in hand. We don't want to lose that to damage. This feels bad. I wonder if they just purge here. I don't want to run last click now. I don't know what we were drawing into there. I think the deck only has 2 dirty laundries. This is the old one, or the new one. Oh man, I keep doing this. Hold on. Yeah, it only has 2 laundries. So, I don't know. It's a regolith. Yeah, this is just going to be a grind. Like, we're not set up to deal with assets. The Rozeki helps a bit. But, like, we're going to have to trash this for 3 and then another one for 8. What's up? It's going good. We're playing this new deck. They've drawn a bit. There could be one agenda in HQ. I think we can just, like, boomerang HQ and run it. And hope. We'll see what this ice is. And then maybe move it onto R&D. Archer is sometimes scary, but Boomerang gets through most of it pretty well. Oh, it's an Afshar. That's fantastic, because then we'll use our ability to put that on onto R&D if we steal an agenda or they score an agenda. So we'll break the end to run, because we can't break both these subroutines, so we'll lose 2. So we actually paid like 4. High profile target, okay. So not boom. We'll drop Overclock. Overclock's actually good to dismantle the remote. But I don't think we want to do that last click unless there's a price second with flow to tag. I actually played this deck this week in my first startup runner deck. How illegal? Okay, for startup, you can't play misdirection. Can't play deuces. You can play most of these cards though. Talking misdirection if you're planning on taking meat. I don't want to show them that we have the misdirection. Right? Like they spent admittedly not that much money. Yeah, this is a grind. Yeah, Jazz, I often want to keep the misdirection so that they go into that sort of play. I don't know if they could easily run a way to destroy this. They have best defense to trash this if they need to. So in theory, we could do boomerang into overclock to get through this remote server. I think that's fine. We're definitely going to get hard hitting news the second time. That's the only issue. But I don't know what else to do. I really have no idea what else to do in this matchup. Again, this deck doesn't have a lot of pressure. Like if we had Stargate, something like that. Like immediately seeing 3 and maybe just taking the tags here is fine. So it is a mouseless. So we can break 2 of these subroutines. So we don't take a tag and we don't take a net damage. So they can go ahead and get a credit. 18 to 19 doesn't really change much. Wax is a new card first. It's a false lead, so we'll steal that. We'll swap this with that. We'll take the 2 meat damage here. Hit the MVT. We trash that with this money. And now we just need to make sure that we drop to at least 2 more cards so that we don't lose to like public trail into high profile target, which will do 2 meat damage. So I'm just going to draw twice. I think drawing twice, well, sure gamble's fine too. We haven't seen economic warfare so far, and they're putting a lot of slots on like weird stuff. There's a chance that they don't actually run economic warfare and like MVT is their economic warfare. So I don't know. I guess we'll play this now. It means that if they hard hitting news, they have to play us more, but we can die here. If they open with public trail, we have to pay 8, which is arguably worse than economic warfare. But hey, at least in the Afshar here, if we get our what's it called down, we break this for 2 credits, our Unity. 1 yogurt in the bin. Wait, actually? Oh my god, you're right. 1 yogurt in the bin. Oh, that seems important to understand. Okay, what happened here? Draw, install. Okay, fine. Fine. So now we have to steal 3 3-pointers. We don't have space for this. Oh, that's exactly what we needed. I'm surprised I haven't purged. Oh, Beth is quite good. So with 2 false lead out, that means they can't really destroy us. They can't do something ridiculous. I'm assuming R&D actually might be a Cyberdex Fire Suite because they're pretty brave not purging on this board state. We also haven't seen Hostiles yet. They shuffled Overseer and Mumbed Virtual Tour. Okay. And admittedly, like, the Overseers get a lot worse when we have, what's it called? Oh, Preemptive as well. Man, what a grind. But these get a lot worse when they, when we have ability to clear multiple tags at once. I'm going to just respect nothing, and I'm just going to hit this button. And we're going to go down to, like, 1 credit. Because we're going to have to trash an MVT. We're going to access R&D before we use the, before we access the top of R&D because of, oh, yeah, no, because of this. I thought I didn't hit the button. Border control, good to know. Global food. Swap ice, no, thanks. We'll take 2 meat. Card from deck, die to snare. It's the final spin doctor. I'm going to trash that just so we don't have to trash Mumbed Virtual Tour. It's a mouseless and some Mumbed Virtual Tour. So we dropped to below 5 so that we don't have to trash this Mumbed Virtual Tour. It's good to know it's there. We got another conduit counter, and now we're technically on game point, but they're probably not running real 3 points. We lost our SMC. Yeah, I was hoping for that. I don't know what server 5 is. We haven't seen a snare yet. We can draw. 19 hit points left. Oh, wow, it's Rashida. So if they don't purge here, they're going to break lock. So we know they're drawing a border control. It's not good for us, especially because our corroder is only possible to get by the single simul chip, which means we also have to trash one of our programs. Oh, no, we have another simul chip. Okay, still not great. So that's probably border control. Could be another mouseless, right? We saw one of those as well. I don't know whether we can just camp the remote here. Hedge fund, okay. If it's a border control, it's fine, right? Right, like we can still just boomerang and slam in here. I don't think we need to this turn. The worry is that if they purge sooner than later. Also, what the heck is server 6? So I think we can just drop. Oh, that's good. And put her down. That's probably good. This also helps against false lead shenanigans if they do score one out. I don't normally catch your streams, but your content's awesome. Yo, Frey, thank you. Glad you can make it. Maybe it's an awkward time, but I appreciate the kind words. Glad you've been liking it. I know we haven't been putting out a lot of videos, but we've been mostly doing streaming. The weekend's been pretty busy. They're drawing up really heavily. I don't know what they're looking for a CVS. There's only 18 cards left. All the Jacksons are down, but they do have a preemptive. They played it. Maybe they have another dredge work as well. Oh, it's a regolith in server 5. Okay, money's not a big issue. Unless we die to punitive somehow. Which is possible. Onicom does help if that's the reality to the situation. But I think our turn is just going to be boomerang run. Unfortunately, we'll be on exactly... oh, man, it's another dredge work. They shuffling agendas back into R&D, which is like the one thing we can contest. So chat, what do we do? Like, we can always just pump the Unity before we access R&D. Like, there might be right. Is we put a boomerang on this thing, we hit this, and then like we can always spend 2 credits boosting the strength, so we access with 4. Oh, that's good. Okay. Oh, we probably should have drawn up here because snare into an agenda steal is lethal. Yeah, this is definitely a misplay on our part. We should be accessing with more than 3 cards in hand. So before we access, I'm going to do this. And I'm pumped twice so that we have 4 credits. So when we access the Mumbed Virtual Tour, we're not forced to do anything. Planogram. Hard hitting. That's good. Uh-oh. Rashida. That's fine. Above the law. Okay. So swap ice. I don't know. I don't think so. I think we'll take the tag. Mobile Virtual Tour. Use conduit, thank you. Yes. So remove the tag. We'll draw. And if we credit up, again, economic warfare won't be an issue for us. Quote unquote. So, okay, we know that they're drawing into a planogram. If they play, they'll draw into double hard hitting. So that might be their turn, which will make us spend most of our turn. But hey, when we're on one agenda point and with this conduit, like we can just slam through the mouseless over and over again. Like it doesn't end the run. And if we don't respect the tag because we're hoping to win, and we know that they shuffled in multiple GFIs and they just shuffled in an Atlas. So they're going to purge. They might purge, yeah. No, they definitely should, and they did. Now, what's the plan today? We're going to be playing this deck list of the week for a bit. We're going to go through the news because there's a lot of it, and then we're going to be trying to build infinite combos because that's a thing you can do now. So I'm excited to build some ridiculous corp decks. All right, at this point, we're not pressured to do a lot because we're at 6 agenda points and they're at 0. And they have global food initiatives to score out. They have atlases, but we got the one above the law, which is like the worst thing for us. So we're just going to player daily cast. We'll draw once more. Player daily cast. Click for credits. If we don't interact, they can't do much. Their 23 credits to our 3 is not gonna be a big deal. But we need to track how many cards have gone through R&D because we saw 5, stole 1. So they just drew a planogram last turn. Now they're gonna be drawing into a hard-hitting news. Then it's a hard-hitting news, and then a Rashida. And I think that's as far as we went. All right, so now they have 2 hard-hitting newses in hand and a planogram. They just shuffled an Atlas back into R&D. So now they've shuffled. So now worrying about R&D is not an issue. And like we can just go see 4 cards from R&D, right? Could we just win here? Because if we don't, we lose. We can always run R&D, take a tag, run R&D, take a tag. And then, you know, hit the misdirection button. They can't really purge and threaten us with hard-hitting news. So we can always like go ham here. But I think we're just going to install the boomerang. We have 5 clicks. Run R&D, encounter. We don't have to hit this button because it doesn't change anything. And we're accessing with 4, which is perfect. So we'll break the ones that matter. And access a single off the top. Again, we're playing around Mumbed Virtual Tour. Oh, good game. Woo! All right. We did it. So I saw all those upgrades. I reckon you don't want me alive. Oh man. Hey there, Netrunner Punk. So you guys actually speculate that Netrunner is not getting physical, but rather digitally revived by Wizards of the Coast? Biscotta, how's it going? It seems from the trademark application that it is for a digital thing. I don't know whether that means Netrunner is going to be a digital card game that they're going to resuscitate. I think it's probably more likely that Netrunner shows up attached to something like maybe a set, an MTG Arena or something like that. Yeah, that one's scary. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'd be surprised if they redid Netrunner in a digital world. It just seems like that's a hard market to get into, like video game, digital card games. Like it's a pretty narrow space if you want to get that much power, it's like to have something that's profitable. So I reckon it's going to be attached to something. Oh yeah. A remote with all the reses. I didn't realize how that worked. Yeah, this card is really cool, but it's a sort of, oh, they're all shuffled back in. This sort of like clown car where you put like 9 things in a remote server. And at that point, they just don't run the remote server and they win off a conduit. Also, glad we didn't cut the conduit, Bushi, if you're watching. So that's the only way we'd possibly win this specific matchup. I just started to rain, I think. Mela, I finally caught one of these live. All it took was waking up at 3 a.m. I'm so sorry. I woke up on the couch last night at 5. I fell asleep with my contacts in. So like, you probably a bit groggy right now. I feel you. Maybe you should get back to bed. Glad you're here though. Easy, easy. Thanks for the game, eh? Equivocation is probably still okay in this match. Yo, Solom, good game. I don't think the original deck had equivocation. I'd way rather have conduit than equivocation because I like knowing what you draw. I like the pressure that it puts on the purge, but equivocation, like giving you combo pieces is scary, but admittedly, like it's really hard to combo out. Solomir, would you consider playing a best defense just to goof with misdirection? Admittedly, you'd probably also want arc lockdown, but maybe on a turn you could do like hold the best defense, you do best defense into hard hitting news, like then I have to have simulchip in hand. Oh, the new one does have equivocation? I thought the new one just had misdirection again. Yeah, no, the new one doesn't have equivocation. It's just misdirection and imp. Wasn't there a trademark filing for physical use too? Zach, I don't know. I saw one that was only for like digital space. I didn't see a physical one. But I could be wrong. I don't remember seeing it. My experience playing Shaper against this deck is that the Corp keeps throwing HHN until you're out of gas. Yeah, no, I believe. And you had 2 HHNs in hand. I thought you would throw one to get a window there, but I think there's a chance that if you threw the book at us, we would just try and go through Mouseless and access 4 cards and hope we win. Because you were shuffling like all your agendas back in R&D. So there's like 2 foods in here, I think 2 atlases, and maybe something else I didn't end up counting. There was a physical one as well. Oh, okay, that changes a lot, I guess. It's good to know, disgruntled. I didn't know that. That actually is a bigger deal. Okay, maybe that means they want to do a card game and maybe have an app or something. It's really weird. I wonder how Nisei feels about that. I think if I'd seen MVT Overseer a little earlier. We saw an MVT on the top of the deck and we left it for you. And I think I play around MVT pretty aggressively. I think we did get lucky on trashing something from the deck, especially something that costs 2. Maybe we could have played around that a bit better. But I was thinking it might have been Price-Ec. Retribution seems good in Wayland deck with Public Trail. Connor, how's it going? Well, yes and no, right? Like, let's talk about this, because this comes up a lot, and I think I've talked about this a fair bit in the videos. So Public Trail doesn't see a lot of play, period. Because a lot of times if you tell the runner, do you want to lose 8 credits or take the tag on? Okay, this is not a reason not to play it, but losing 8 credits is generally worse than taking the tag a lot of the time. That's because there's not a lot of good single tag punishment. But the idea is like playing Retribution, right? But Retribution does very little. Admittedly, maybe you can target the misdirection to clear tags, but like, what card are you hitting with Retribution? If they're tagged, you could already trash resources. Okay, so probably don't want to do that. Could you trash hardware? Yeah, that's probably, it's not that impactful, but it's not bad. There's certain matchups where it's that can be really important. But like against Shapers, our programs, we have simulchips, so that's coming back. Against Anarchs, they're heat breakers, so those are coming back. So generally, it's only good specifically against only criminals. And even then, like Paperclip is one of their breakers. They have Amakuas and Boomerang, so it's not even that powerful. So basically, if they're tagged, I'd rather spend a slot on something like exchange of information, right? Like if that deck was running Hostile Takeover, they could have got those scored easily and then they swapped them for Global Food Initiatives. It's just not a great tag punishment when there's better single tag punishment and there's not that many matchups where trashing a single card will make the difference. If they trash the Conduit, we would just bring it back with Simulchip the next turn. Maybe that's like purging, but then they have to spend 4 credits and then another credit on this card, and we have to have less than 8 credits and also not pay the 8 credits. Like it's, yeah, I'm not into Retribution. I don't see what kind of deck would play it. On top of that, there's like other cards like that can be more impactful. I just don't know the name of them. What's that tag one where you can return 2 cards to hand? Knobkuri, yeah, no, Solomir. Yeah, Knobkuri is a good one to return, but like that deck is so hosed by other cards too. If you're playing against like the max decks, like you can already play Arc Lockdown, it's more impactful. You can play Salem's Hospitality like we saw at Intercontinentals. It's so powerful. Self-growth program, thank you. That's another one. That is, it's probably a hyphen, right? Yeah. This is also a really powerful one. Add 2 cards to the grip. Admittedly, that seems worse than trashing, and this is a higher influence card, but in a yellow deck, that can be more important, especially when you're dealing with cards that protect against meat damage, because you can return those to hand before punishment sometimes, as opposed to having to trash the resources. That's not a really big deal, but this can be annoying, because if they return the Conduit, it purges it. I don't know. Point being, you don't see a lot of either of these cards, because tag punishment generally can be a bit more important and impactful, and a lot of times dealing with one card on the table doesn't do it. Just realized EOI is leaving come rotation, and I think that's a big thing with Nisei, Dane, is that Nisei wants to make the single tag not as scary as it used to be, right? Like if you've been playing for a while, this used to be a thing. It's like you took a single tag, you're dead. And now a single tag is honestly not disastrous. You could consider floating a single tag. Once you get 2 tags, that becomes a bit problematic. Got any links to the physical filings? I'd like to take a look. Yeah, me too. I haven't seen that. Don't companies just need to file these things semi-regularly to keep the IP active, even if they don't have any current plans for them or something? Arzan, I am by no means like, I don't know why you'd listen to me besides the fact that I'm talking, because I don't know a lot about these sort of things. From my understanding, that they did have to renew the license every 10 years or so, and it kind of lines up right now. I think the last license renewal was in 2011 and 2001, so it lines up, right? But I think those license renewals are like at a 10-year or 5-year span, and specifically this license renewal said intent to use within 1 year. Like they had a year to do something with the trademark. So I don't know whether that's just a change in trademarks modernly, but from my understanding, there's a difference between like just holding the trademark as opposed to intent to use. Yeah, Xran responded below. You can maybe hardcore Arc Lockdown Retribution to try to lock out the max decks. Plywood, I think you can do that, but you just don't play Arc Lockdown. Sorry, you don't play Retribution and then worry about tagging and worry about all that stuff. All you do is play Arc Lockdown, and we've been seeing that in the competitive field. And then if you want to play something spicy, play Salem's Hospitality. Because at the end of the game, those decks, you know every single card in their hand. If you hit labor rates, they lose. They just lose. So you can just hit Salem's for labor rates. GG. You don't even need to Arc Lockdown at that point. And there's a bot here, but I'm going to ignore it. Even in startup, Retribution doesn't feel that good to play. Yeah, Tater, 100%. I agree with you. In Retribution, I very quickly abandoned, sorry, in System Gateway or at startup even, I quickly abandoned Retribution, even though it's technically the strongest single tag punishment. I can't post a link, but if you search for Netrunner 907-91419, okay, hold on, I'll bite. You know, you want to buy those follows. Saying you're agreeing with Arizon, but I don't know what you're agreeing with. I don't see what Arizon said. I think it was a while ago. Oh, the renewal, right. Yeah, Zach, I don't think you're allowed to post links. I think it eats the link. Never played during Sea Scorch days, but I did like the direction Boom went. But then HPT is just question mark. It's not that much different. HPT and Boom really don't. They're very similar. I don't think it's a big deal. EUA is not in Data and Destiny. Who knew? Yeah, it's not, right? I thought it was too. Searching EOI. Exchange of information is going to be in the cycle that rotates right before Data and Destiny. Saw a video on Microsoft putting servers on the ocean floor. Mark, I have no idea about that. That's wild. Why? I think we use a pelagic themed set. That means underneath the sea. Okay, we're getting an ice set, a snow set. I reckon it's something similar. Let's do one more of this deck. I'm going to do the upgraded version, but maybe I'll regret it because we don't have ability to close the game. But we have Imp. It's just pretty similar. Okay, we'll go to the news because there's a lot of news. But Bushi, I think this is a cool deck. I do think that my inherent playstyle really values pressure, and so I'm probably pretty bad, and like I probably don't play this deck the way that it could, where you just want to set up, control the remote. That I do like the jam the conduit and go. HPT is a harder answer to reckless tag me runners. There are not that many tag. Okay, so like the difference between Boom and HPT is that it's sometimes easier because it's just not a double, right? Like if they have 4 tags, they can die with either of those cards, but one of them isn't a double, which helps if you do something like Consulting Visit. Now, there's not a lot of protection that will protect you from one, but not the other, if the runner is not like ridiculously tagged. Because at the end of the day, the modern tag punishment in the format are things like Citadel Sanctuary, and that's just, you know, it's actually better to play 2 HPTs into this because they have to trash their hand, and then the second one hopefully kills them. But largely, it's not that much of a difference between one of them as being trashable. Like there's not many matchups where like the runner's on 8 tags and then the only way to kill them is high profile target. That Boom wouldn't be the way to kill them. High profile target's also a lot more influence, which I think maybe is a better thing for the game. I don't know. We do see them sometimes splash. Obelisk, sad Obelisk picture. Yeah, I think the only card that this actually does matter is the really tag me decks that have Obelisks that would have huge hand size. So they'd be holding on to 14 cards and then say, try and come and kill me. But then you easily could when you do like 94 meat damage, which we saw last week. Now that isn't really a popular archetype anymore. And that archetype used to have other options like Paparazzi that would protect them largely. This rotated last rotation. They also still have options like Yarogniev. What is it? Yarogniev Mercs. But again, this card sees very to no play when you can just play Citadel. It's pretty cold down there. If you remove the oxygen, allegedly, it's super cold and stable down there. Ooh, cheap cooling. That's kind of cool. But yeah, Ocean Floor Service does sound like a perfect Netrunner card. Yeah, no, that is pretty neat. The Ocean okay, like the Ocean has its place in Netrunner, but it's not been talked about that much. I think the only card where we see the Ocean, and the art on this I think is so important. This is the Statue of Liberty, and you see the ocean level, right? It's like heavily risen. That there actually is like like a dike built around Lady Liberty, which is pretty wild. But I reckon like I don't think we've seen that much of the coast outside of Beach Party and Breaker Bay, which is actually a bay. The whole that whole site. Whiteblade made the APAC cut with Tag Me Crim, right? Whiteblade won a bunch of nationals. I think nationals were won. There was like 1 or 2 or 3 nationals that were swept in a row by playing Tag Me Crim back in the day, Plywood. Yeah, but that was when Liza was a thing. And I think you could also play that card that gave you a credit for every tag you had. Mars for Martians. Grendel? Yeah, Grendel's over water. But there's not much more flavor. And then the other Grendel cards are fracking cards, which doesn't make that much sense with the refinery. Cue the Expanse opening credits. 2 people in APAC were running Tag Me Crim. I heard that APAC Tag Me Crim was a thing that was going to show up. That I heard that we're going to see, like, we could have seen more 419 decks going Tag Me. We saw Zaya going Tag Me too, because those sort of decks are generally a bit more impactful and a bit more aggressive. So things like Sportsmetal might not interact with them as well. And maybe even things like PD might not interact with them as well. Just because that was like the less honest thing that Criminal could do at the time, where you could actually build up a multi-axis sooner than later. I don't think those decks panned out that well. I think there was more Wayland at APAC than any other Continental, but I don't know. But I heard that that deck was a thing that people were working on. Yeah, Zaya tagged me. Grendel geothermal fracking is part of the ocean Netrunner. Yeah, no, it is. It is. But it wasn't really explored outside of like the card. And even the Grendel refineries, like you can tell what's going on. Like this just looks like a rig, a mining rig. But like these were all internal. This is geothermal, right? So I'm assuming it's on land. NB Kelly made Intercontinental on CSI. Oh, I didn't realize that. That does make sense. NB Kelly was running some really cool decks, though. So much more Wayland at APAC, though. Tag Me Crim needs to dodge like a third of the field. Yeah, on those decks, I think you play like less aggressively. It was the same kind of thing where back in the day you played Liza into those matchups. Like you just shook tags. Liza, Talking Thunder, like you could do it. But yeah, it's difficult. It is a meta call to some extent. Man, she was so wild. What a ridiculous card. 50. Okay, yeah. Slow me down. I'll draw 2 a turn. Thank you. I think this is some of my favorite flavor for a runner, though. The Legislator. That is potentially corrupt, but will be tagged. So you could either decide to clear your tags and like spend time slowing down and losing your tempo, maybe investing in the art gallery and like, hiding your trails, or just being absolutely belligerent and having everyone know what the heck you're up to. Okay, we're going to do some deck building, but first let's go through the news because there is a lot of news. How's everyone doing, by the way? If you're just tuning in or you've been watching for a while, my name is Andre. I don't do slates anymore. We used to slate all the time to be like, hey, welcome back to Metropole Grid. My name is Andre. And then I'd hit this button. It still works. But welcome. It was a long, well, not a long month. I don't mean long. I mean, there's only 5 games tonight. I guess that does happen when after Intercontinentals that people are like Netrunnered out to some extent. But there was a lot of Netrunner last month. We've been talking about it every week. There was always like a Continental on the weekend. Last weekend was not only an Intercontinental, which is really, really exciting, but also it was the Eternal Testing Tournament. And if you want to check either of those out, yo, Skip on, how's it going? David, how are you doing as well? Deck building, then deck playing. We'll get to there. We'll do some deck building right after this. If you want to check out the Eternal Testing Tournament Lost Geek was running, you can find it here on Vesper's channel at twitch.tv/VesperDBS. The links will be in the show notes. So that's great. It was like 5 hours. There's a bunch of entrants. You saw a lot of really powerful stuff. You saw Data Leak Reversal. You saw Tag Me. You saw Gagarin. You saw all the stuff that people liked playing that they couldn't play. Random question. Are you playing on an Arkham Halloween special? Love the last one. Oh, I'd love to, Dane. And we got some good Arkham content coming out. There was ideas to make a new Arkham channel, but then like time has been really difficult. But I have a really good setup to do TTS on Arkham with like multiple cameras. It's like real slick. I just need more time. Then following that, the next day was Intercontinentals. You can watch that all on Project Nisei. That is their official Twitch channel. It'll be on YouTube sooner than later is the hope. And that was a full day of Intercontinentals. So basically the top 4 players from each Continental entered into this tournament. They all had 3 lives, and they basically played against each other until one person was left standing. You can check all that out. People did switch their decks a bit. I think the meta was still pretty similar. I don't think there's any wildly different decks, but there were some decks that showed up in the Continentals that other players started to champion. That was actually really exciting to see, it's cool. So check all this stuff up. And again, American Continentals was the weekend prior, and then Euro Africas, and then the APAC. So there's a lot of competitive Netrunner to watch if you want to get into it. It will be all up on YouTube if you can't make it again. And I don't say this as if it's hard to watch, but I watch almost all my content at a faster speed. Because a lot of times the players are taking time to think about their moves, and sometimes that can be a bit slower. So you hit this button in the bottom, and oh, you can't see it. There's a gear, right? And you can go to like speed 2x or whatever makes sense. I love 2x speed, let me tell you. You can't tell by the way I talk. Hey, first time catching the stream. I loved your series on System Gateway Faction. So helpful. Yo, Pouch Surfer, thank you. Glad you liked it. Put a lot of work in it. I think it showed off. I think it was a big success, and I'm excited to do more stuff like that in the future. Cheers. Yeah, so I do need catch up on this. I watched the last half for sure. I think I missed a bunch of the first half, so I'm going to go back and check that stuff out. Okay, this is huge because everybody was waiting for this, but Nisei has announced their new cycle. It's called Borealis. There's some nice flavor here. There's actually a full flavor article, like a narrative piece that Morgan has written. I haven't read this just yet, but I'll get to it. But they're announcing a new cycle. And that's really exciting because we've had no news about new cards for a while. The new cycle is called Borealis. It looks like it'll be taking place in the Arctic Circle, up north in the cold. Whether this image is more meaningful than just the set logo, I don't know. The set is going to come into 2 cycles, just like Ashes had Uprising and Downfall. And so they'll be called, the first one will be called Borealis, the eponymous cycle or set. And then the second one will be called Parhelion. If I'm not mistaken, Parhelion has to do something with the placement of stars or planets in rotation, in orbit, right? Parhelion, I'm not right. Commonly known as a sundog or mock sun, it's an atmospheric optical phenomenon that consists of a bright spot to one or both sides of the sun. Now, why I thought that was maybe right or wrong is the idea that this shape here does look like a bunch of like planets aligning. I don't know. Maybe it kind of does look like this too, right? The sundog. Yeah, it looks like that's the set logo. I think it's probably the set logo, but the set logos generally have something to do with the set, whether it's just by name or by theme. So I've seen this while skiing. I don't know if I've ever seen one of these, but let me tell you, my bucket list has a bunch of stuff on it, but one of the big ones is just to see the Northern Lights, because I imagine it is incredible. Oh my God. Oh, the character in the short story is named Sundog. Oh, that slaps. That really, really does slap. Oh my God. The Northern Lights just don't make any sense. Just unreal. They make a sound? Are you kidding me? The sky sounds like something? I went to Whitehorse to see them. It's so incredible. I would lose my mind if the sky looked like this. Seriously, huge bucket list thing. We'll get that sorted out at some point. Yeah, I think the logo looks a bit like Northern Lights too. I wish they wouldn't call the first set in the cycle the same name. Leads to confusion. Yo, I don't know how to say this. J Sibley Tube? That's probably accurate. I ran into the exact same issue when I started reading this article earlier this stream. I was like, okay, the Borealis set is only 65 cards, but it's a whole cycle. I agree. And I know somebody brought it up in a Reddit post, and Nisei responded and saying that they're putting a lot of effort to make that not as confusing. And they agree that it might actually be easier to get into because, oh, the Borealis cycle starts with Borealis. But yeah, it could be confusing. I think it might be. Like Sundog the Runner? Yeah, like Sundog the Runner. They could make Metropole Grid an actual card. Oh man, that'd be awesome. The Metropole Grid technically is below the Arctic Circle by a fair bit, but it's closer than it's ever been. The logo has a description? Are you serious? Where's the logo description? I read this at some point this weekend when it came out. So 2 sets per cycle. Yeah, Mark, that's how it's been so far. So, or at least that's how it's been for Ashes. That's a 65 card set and then another 65 card set. I don't believe we've heard anything about when it's going to be released, the cadence, whether those 2 sets will be coming together or separate. I reckon separate. But like all Nisei sets will be released as physical cards through our print-on-demand partners and free print-to-play files. So that's awesome. I bet Arctic Cycle sticks. Borealis is a good word, but yeah, I hear you. On top of that, Order and Chaos and Mumbit Cycle will no longer be wrote in the legal standard format when this comes out. This is not a surprise. Everyone knew this was coming. And if you're not noticing, Nisei is culling cards soon or quicker than they're adding cards to the standard format, which is good for people who want to get into this game and play physically, because it's hard to get some of these old FFG cards. I also think Nisei has plans, you know, where sooner than later they want Netrunner to be only Nisei cards, which, you know, probably lets them sleep a bit easier at night, I reckon. I'm excited for that for sure, but that is, again, meta rotation is just as big as new cards. Or we'll keep calling it bashes. I'm not calling this one bashes no more. No. Design post confirms. Yes, we'll get there, Connor. I think the design post confirms a lot of really cool things. So June is the lead designer, and she has written this article that comes up talking a bit about the sets, Borealis and Parhelion. And there's some like pretty big points that they want to talk about and want to nail. Set cohesion. I want to produce product releases from Nisei to feel like pieces of a whole. This is actually really cool because I think a lot of people's favorite cycle was the Sand cycle, which was, if I'm not mistaken, the first time that FFG started making a set with a really cohesive theme, and even each pack within that cycle had a really cohesive theme, and it felt like a piece of a whole thing, and there was a narrative, and it was fantastic. And I like that a lot more than just like the Ashes cycle, which wasn't that flavor or lore, like, not that I'm a big lore guy, but like it didn't feel as cohesive. It was just like, here's a bunch of cards, and a lot of it was like, here's cards that we think are necessary for our new Netrunner. But I like the idea that we're gonna see these. I've been talking too much about bashes, too much to Switch now. Yeah, it's a shame Aurora is already a card. We'll forget about that one. We'll call it Aurora Borealis. Novelty. Historically, Netrunner has relied on rehashing and reimagining primary game mechanics, or timidly putting forward minor spins on central game ideas. Boom, take that, FFG. These days are over. The design team will be emphasizing that every set has a mixture of completely new mechanical ideas in the form of keywords, and I think they've said that there'll at least be 3 new keywords on the runner side or something. We'll get to it. And or totally new archetypes, that's a wild sentence that I'm excited for, that haven't hit the table before. I hope that returning players feel like they're returning to a new experience. That's awesome. Beyond these 2 pillars, we're looking to start steering the ship towards some gameplay principles that will put the game in a healthier place. There will be game length, grinding and dynamism, incentivizing interaction and complexity. And these are all the things that, these are all things that have been really important, and there have been a lot of conversation. I think game length is something that there's been a bit of a pushback. And I think June has been quote, and I don't want to say misquote because I think that's the actual quote, but I think it was an exaggeration that June said, we want games to be 15 minutes. But right now, I think June's saying that we want to complete at least, you know, games into your lunch break, a game or 2 into a lunch break. How long is everyone's lunch break, by the way? Because I realize not everyone has the same length of a lunch break, and so I don't think that should be like a standard. I got an hour. What you got? You guys have a lunch break? Lunar Cycle is the first theme cycle. You're right. Lunar Cycle was the first theme cycle, but was it really? I guess it was. There was a narrative, but was it really? I think what I'm focusing on FFG is that Breaker Bay, or that set, was the packs were focused on narrative. Maybe that's what's hanging me up. 30 minutes to an hour. Standard's 30 minutes. Okay, but this is what everyone's saying. 30 minutes to an hour. So is June saying that the games will be 15 minutes long or 30 minutes long? That is a huge margin of error, June. Anyways, it's their official description. Globe with ripple effect. Oh, of the logo. Oh, that slaps. Lunar is suddenly interesting writing. Lunar had the like ongoing insert that would actually continue the story. My experience is usually 30 minutes paid or an hour unpaid. Huh. Okay. I mean, you got to wait around for an opponent. I'm assuming you're playing with your coworker or something. Anyways, the game has been faster is what we've seen so far. I don't know if they want to push the game faster than that, but I think also a big part of the game length comes to these like incentivizing interactions and grinding and dynamism sort of ideas. So what June says, concepts I focus on a lot in my own design process are ones that influence a great deal of the emotional content of a Netrunner game. A grindy match, quote unquote, is one where the pendulum in match rarely swings. Think of a tug-of-war match as at complete deadlock till the very last moment, with the strength of one team overwhelms the other and topples their opposition. While not altogether a bad thing, grindy matches can often feel like a game of pure calculation, rather than one of bluffs and strong reads on your opponent's plans. And I think that's a really big deal. And not that I don't like this sort of Netrunner, because you can see really, really strong competitive Netrunner at this, but a lot of times there'll be games where it's just like a grind match, where one player understands this is what I have to do, the other player understands this is what I have to do, and they keep battling until someone's economy gives up or someone does make a mistake. And I don't think that's the sort of Netrunner that a lot of people are excited about, and it doesn't seem like the sort of Netrunner direction that the design team wants to push it in. By contrast, a game that is overly dynamic can feel like it changes completely by the turn of a single card, leaving you feeling like your smaller decisions have no impact on the outcome of a match. So the sort of like wild haymakers, like, oh, boom, this is a huge change of the game. Next turn, something wildly different as well, is obviously like, it's hard to feel like you're in control. On the design team, one of our long-term goals is harmonizing these two competing forces, so managing your credit pool and making a calculation in the game are as important as finding the perfect timing to bluff an agent or a trap. So I don't think there's anything there that's particularly contentious. I think those are things that just about everyone agrees with, which is really exciting. I've been told that like Bashes has a lot more like powerful cards. I've heard ideas of like new win conditions, or like, you know, the idea that they want the game to be a bit more explosive, which kind of comes into contrast by this sentence that starts with by contrast. So I'm interested to see how they marry those two ideas. Imagine having coworkers who play. You got to introduce it to someone. System Gateway is good, right? And the requisite strategy talk after the game. On WA state laws, 2 50-minute paid breaks are 1 30-minute unpaid lunch break. Is WA Washington? It must be Washington. That sounds awful. Everyone should have an hour. Enjoy your pie. Sit down, eat something big. I don't know. If Netrunner gets any faster, I can't be bummed. Though since I've been learning SWCCG, that's Star Wars CCG, I figured it out. The other popular asymmetrical dead game, boy, it's hugely problematic for them. The games are crazy long. They have some really weird things set up. The matches are average 1 hour plus. I've been going to Flesh and Blood events, and they do something called an armory, and the casual format is called Blitz. And Blitz events, you sit around your opponent and you play a game. And the games are 30 minutes. And like some games do go to time, but like being able to sit down and get like 5 rounds of Flesh and Blood within an evening is pretty awesome. And it's not something that I've seen too regularly outside of like casual bar meetups, which haven't been happening for years now. But like going to an event and like every round being 65 minutes, and then you end up only playing 3 games as opposed to like you could potentially play 5 or 6. I would like the games to be faster. That being said, I don't want turn 8 games where, you know, there's so many of the card pool that can be played. In France, we usually get an hour 30 of lunch break. Yeah, Clement, that's how it goes. Let's do it. And then you have a beautiful lunch break, and then you eat well, and you're merry, and I don't know, you're living the life. Incentivizing interaction is a tricky problem. I'd argue that games in Netrunner are better when players are mutually incentivized to interact with each other early and often, rather than playing solitaire, where they don't care very much about the other player's board state or game actions. Take that, OTK decks. 100%. I think everyone agrees with that. I do think combo decks are important to some extent for most card games. I wonder if Netrunner can just like absolutely sidestep that, but like there's technically always been that triangle of like aggressive decks, control decks, combo decks, and they each kind of push each other and balance each other out. But you know, solitaire decks like Cerebral Imaging, probably not great. Complexity is the enemy of fun, not to be mistaken with gameplay depth, something all of us come to Netrunner for. Complexity is the raw calculation and comprehension needed to understand the board state and effects of cards in play. This game is particularly complex. System Gateway significantly reduced the complexity of a Netrunner game in a way that keeps the game approachable and comprehensible to the novice player, but we hope to carry that forward into future releases as well. Don't worry, your average Borealis card is still going to be a bit more complex than your average card from System Gateway, but we're working hard to cut back on the overall amount of raw text present. That's awesome. And honestly, that's like really good and exciting design. I've said this so many times on stream, but like, it's pretty often that you'll see a card game where like getting into like, you know, the 5th year of cards, you'll see cards that have whole paragraphs on them of ridiculous conditions. Oh, I wish I knew the name of this Doomtown card, but like there's one Doomtown card that just bothers the heck out of me. Reducing complexity by adding more keywords. Harold, that's one way to do it, but I don't think that always reduces complexity. It adds the complexity to a different part where people have to understand keywords. This is a really nice thing also in like Flesh and Blood right now, that the keywords have the text of what they mean next to them in brackets, and will probably for a couple of years until maybe people are used to that. But yeah, I think that's one way to deal with it, as long as, you know, you understand those stuff. I don't know if I'm going to find the card, but there's like cards that literally have a thesis on it. Like really, really ridiculous stuff that are really hard to parse. And this is something that just kind of happens over time, where like, oh yeah, this is it. Yeah, you ready for this? You ready for this one? Choose a dude who is not in the shootout, who is at home, and who is controlled by the mark or the player opposing a job. That dude's controller may have them join their posse moving if necessary. If that dude does not join, one of your dudes becomes a stud, gets +2 bullets, and your opponent takes 2 extra casualties if their draw hand is ever cheating this round. Obviously, there's a lot of keywords in there you probably don't understand. Doomtown slaps, mind you, and they just rebooted it. They had a successful Kickstarter. I'm really excited for this. But like this sort of design, this card is very fascinating for what it's worth. But like seeing a card game that is so matured, it says cough, Hushik, cough. Seeing a card game that is like has explored so many ideas already, and the designers can still make really interesting and nuanced cards that have very simple amounts of text on them is so cool. And I think it's a design that a lot more people are excited about than this absolute salad here. Although that this is, of course, still an interesting card. Shuck. Anyways, I love that card. I still don't understand how it works. Okay, that's great. And then there's some like lists here of cool things that just you can be excited about that are coming out in the Borealis cycle. And some of these are wild. I was being sarcastic, a little worried about lots of new keywords. Oh, sorry, Harold. It's hard to get sarcasm across text. We're going to see, I think, a couple new keywords, but I don't think they're going to overdo it. Timmy, by the way, what's popping? How's it going? Bear in mind that a lot of keywords will be rotating too. Like which ones? So the first standard legal neutral identity pair, 1 corp, 1 runner. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that means. Like the mini factions are not something that Nisei looks like they're going to be supporting. So basically these are going to be new factions. What does neutral mean? Are they going to be blank for the ability that you can do this if you want to? Or are they going to have cool abilities? How do agendas work in a blank corp? Big question marks on this one, but I think people are excited. 3 new runner keywords. We just talked about keywords. Keywords don't have to be complicated, but again, they can. 3 2-1 agendas. That's wild. 2-1 agendas are pretty scary. Interestingly enough, I think one of the design prompts, if you wanted to get involved in to put in, throw your hat into the ring for a possibility of working with the Nisei design team, one of their design prompts was create a 2-1 agenda for Wayland that doesn't take the space of hostile takeover, something like that. I forget exactly what it was. That was largely what it was. So like 2-1 agendas mean the game is generally a lot faster. That also has some impact on like forfeitable cards that can forfeit agendas, but that's wild. 2-1 agendas have been some of the strongest cards in the game. A Shaper vehicle console slaps. We've seen Tao driving his, not Tao, sorry, we've seen Lat driving his cool ass flying car. And vehicle is a really cool subtype that showed up a lot in original Netrunner, more than this. An icebreaker with the weapon subtype. I've been saying add more weapons to the game, and I swear to God, if this is not a criminal breaker, I'm gonna be really upset. Weapon subtype, best subtype. Sorry. It's a violent card game. A new quest card. If you don't know what that means, that's a card like quest completed, is my understanding. If you run all 3 central servers, I should say like Apocalypse, right? Do something cool. 4 cards designed by major tournament winners. That is something we knew was coming. We didn't know what sets they're going to come in, but a lot of times when you won a tournament, you could design a card. I think the last card we've seen like that is Paula's Cafe from Lost Geek. I actually don't think 2-1s make the game faster. They changed the corp scoring pattern, but it's slower than most other points. You're technically right. It's slower of points per whatever, but yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it doesn't make the game straight faster, but exchange of information rotates, so maybe you can start printing more 2-1s. That's cool. Anyways, stuff like this is really cool because you see nice, exciting ideas that somebody's really passionate about. Okay, wait, that sounds horrible. It's not like the Nisei designers aren't passionate about the cards, but it's cool to see them interacting with people, and you can see kind of the people's play style bleed into their own cards. I'm pretty sure Whiteblade has his card in this set, but I don't actually know. 7 cards with a cybernetic subtype. This is really interesting because the cybernetic subtype only has a couple cards in it, and this is really cool because Nisei has been putting their foot down on this issue. I don't know if you know, but cybernetic subtype, there's a bit of a semantic war here because there's actually 2 subtypes. There's a cybernetic subtype and there's a cybernetics subtype, and even the masterminds. Oh, you can't see the drop down list, but the drop down list shows right now that there's only one subtype, cybernetic. If I go down, it's cyborg. If I go up, it's current. But if you search, these are all lies, because if you go to full cards, I'm dying on this hill. You see that? It says cybernetics. Thanks, FFG. So which one is it? Nisei says it's cybernetic. I think this has been retconned to be cybernetic. But cybernetic is such a cool subtype that there's very few cards. I think there's only 2 cards in rotation right now that have the cybernetic trait, technically cybernetics trait on it. And some of the cybernetics back in the day were playable. Net-Ready Eyes won Worlds. It's a really strong card. Titanium Ribs was playable in an archetype. But the idea of body modification is just like so inherently cyberpunk. The fact that this was so poorly explored is kind of baffling. So I'm glad that we're getting back to that. A limit 6 per deck runner card. I'm not excited about that. I never am. I like the decks to be... I'd play Commander if I could, and a new region for each Corp faction. Cool. Sigh, Red Sand. Yeah, exactly. Red Sand problems. NRE would be so good in Shaper at the moment. What would you attach Net-Ready to? Man, the Net-Ready is nice. So if Gmods get cybernetics or Cyborg gets a genotype, what are their identities? I'm not sure if I follow that. I don't know the difference between a Gmod and... Oh, Gmod's a genetic mod. So cybernetics and genetics are different. There are genetics cards, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, consumer grade sucked. There was only one card, the 6 of... There's only 2 cards. Okay, hold on. I don't know how many 6 of per deck cards were printed. It can't be more than 6. But most of them were bad. I just don't like it that like the majority of my deck is the same card unless it's really interesting. But like, you know, people like Exclusive Party. Do I love that a big part of my deck is Exclusive Party? No. Well, that's my problem though. How many new cybernetics? I think they said 6. Ansel was a champ card. Oh yeah, Plywood. Yeah, Ansel was the newest champ card. No, that's huge. Yeah. This is a Rotom's card. Yeah, no, thank you. I forgot about that. Criminal weapon, gun, Shaper weapon, taser, anarch weapon, Molotov. No, there's no way Shapers are getting a weapon. That doesn't make sense. Yeah. Swift and Super Corridor and Shambles. Swift isn't even a vehicle, is it? Oh, so Swift is a vehicle. Wait, is Super Corridor actually his car? Is Super Corridor a vehicle? Not. It looks like it could be, but it's not. And interestingly, I remember people yelling at FFG because what's it called is not a vehicle. Sports Hopper is not a vehicle, if I'm not mistaken. It's just a link card. Oh, never mind. It was the opposite. It's a vehicle, but it's not a link card, even though it gives you a link, which was the first card like that. I had a terrible response to that 2-1 Wayland design question. Solomir, what did you say? Because I think it's a fascinating question, and I helped some friends who submitted for that, and they all had really cool ideas. I think it's a really cool question. June has talked about keywords. I'm scrolling up in chat, mind you, not down yet. Maybe not publicly, as mental shortcuts to group a mechanic rather than a full new mechanic. Okay, cool. You just play Sandbox Offworld and you got most of your Genesis suite? Yeah, you play Foods, you're good. Global Food is part of Data and Destiny, right? Yeah, okay. Rainbow Road. Apparently Vatron had a tick up in value clause, but it was too many words, which is a real question mark for me. What was it? Okay, what was it? What's the name of that magic card that has the longest name? Does anybody know what this magic card is? Because I love this story. Someone in GLC Super Corridor is installed in the car, not the car itself. Yeah, guy, Asmo Gadanis the Kulilikov. Why did that not work? I'll just search as that's okay. We nailed it. Okay, so check this out. That's actually Asmaran Mardakakuldakar. Goes off the edge of the card. It actually doesn't. I think it's perfectly on the card. How did you all know it? Did you all type that out or did you all Google it? Okay, so this is, I think, so cool. So this is a card that Wizards joked about never. Okay, that's hilarious over there. But Wizards never joked about this card not coming out ever. This was a character that was known. She is somebody who works in the kitchens of hell, and her name actually perfectly fits. But the caveat here is in Magic, in the top right corner, is like the cost to play this card, and this card has no cost because they literally couldn't figure it out here. They had to drop the cost to do it. Yeah, exactly. Very cute. But what I love, it's one of the caveats they made designing this card is if you sacrifice 2 food tokens, which are a token that I think Asmo can make, it says target creature deals 6 damage to itself. And from my understanding, it says target creature as a shortcut because in theory, Asmo should be doing it, but they literally could not fit her name one more time on the card. So they had to make a target creature and mechanically change slightly how the card works just because it was such an unwieldy name. This is so cool as a celebration of like ridiculousness, but this card is I've seen people play this on Commander on YouTube, but that's awesome. I'm a big fan of this. This is absolutely wacky. Yes, it is slightly broken. Is the card like super strong? I imagine having like a whatever they call it in Commander, your commander, haha, costing 0 is pretty good. Anyways, I love that. But yeah, keywords. Let's go. People writing it from their head. Shake my head. And in the same set, there's a card called Damn. Okay. It's not bad in Modern. I've seen play. Okay, cool. I'm not a Magic person, so I don't know, but I follow like, you know, YouTube channels that talk about it. There's some good essays and stuff. He's playing Modern. Okay. The creature dealing itself the damage does change it slightly mechanically. I believe it does. I have no doubt it does. Target creature in MTG means any creature, though. It doesn't have to refer to itself. Oh, no, I get that, I think, Nemirov. But the idea is that Asmo's not doing it. The creature is doing it to itself. Like, you target the creature and it eats itself. Magic supports nicknames for legendary cards that refer to themselves, but probably didn't want to shorten her name. I'm glad they never shortened her name. Also, from my understanding, and I don't know how Netrunner rules this, because I've never seen this become a problem. But this is an old Magic story. Target marketing was a current. This card is not trashed until another current is played, whatever. Name a card. Gain 10 credits whenever the runner plays or installs a copy of that card. Okay, so you had to name a card. And I have never seen people struggle with this. Yeah, Boborigmos, exactly, Solomir. Exactly, Boborigmos. But, okay. What is the name of Sunny's decoder? Pop quiz. What is the name of Sunny's decoder? Y'all know? Yeah, exactly, guy. Boborigmos and Rage. I don't know if y'all heard about this. Shiv? No, Shiv is a criminal card. GS Striker M1. I think that's correct. I think it's GS dot Striker M1. So Solomir, that's... Or Shrike the Killer? I don't actually know which one it is. But the point is... I see the Shiv. Okay. Shiv was interesting this last weekend. Let's say Striker. It's GS Striker M1. Okay. It's the decoder. No, nailed it. With that Shiv. So the name of this, if you said Striker, if you just said Striker, you would technically be wrong for naming this card. And I don't know how Netrunner works, whether classically the ruling was you could ask a judge and you could describe the card, but there was a table in competitive Magic where somebody played a card in which you had to name a card and then the person couldn't play or activate that card, right? And the person knew what deck they were playing against and they knew the card their opponent had that they basically, if they named it intelligently, their opponent lost the game because it was some sort of combo deck. And they named Boborigmos. I think that's the name of the card, right? And then the next turn, the player just played Boborigmos Enraged, and the opponent who tried to block the card by naming it with something like targeted marketing said, but I named Boborigmos. But the opponent said, yes, you did say Boborigmos, but Boborigmos is actually a card in Magic, and you didn't say Boborigmos Enraged, which is the card in my deck. So the idea is that they didn't say Enraged, so they missed the target. People were upset about that. The player got away with the win because technically you have to legally properly name the card. And from my understanding now in Magic, you can actually describe the card. And as long as both players agree on what you're describing, you don't need to nail the name of the card, which is fascinating. And I not that it matters for targeted marketing, but I've seen that often, or I've seen that more than once, because people did play that Sunnybreaker, specifically for Tour Guide. They played the killer version, that someone would just say like Sunny's Killer, I don't know the name, and the opponent would be like, you got it. So it's ridiculous. Sunny's decoder is Ngolo. Yeah, you can always exact the name for a card from a judge. I think you can always call a judge over too to search up a card if you don't know what the card is, so you can find the name as well. Can always ask for the exact name and the current rules text including right. Could we have a Pithing Needle Netrunner? It's Pithing Needle, right? Technically they named a card, it was just a wrong card. Yeah, and that's important. It's not that they said the name of the card wrong. They didn't say like Boborigmos and they were like, that's not a card. They said Boborigmos, which is a card. But Boborigmos Enraged is also a card in the opponent's deck. So they unfortunately named an existing card not knowing it, potentially. Now, rules are both players have to understand the card, but you don't have to name the exact card. Sick. Thank you. The Borber problem is because there are two Borbers. Yeah, 100%. Sorry if I didn't make that clear. I think you could always describe the card actually now that I think about it because our foreign players and the English name rules. Yeah, the language actually does matter for that a lot if you're familiar with like French cards or any other language. Describing Sunny's Killer is sufficient. Also, calling a judge works too. Yeah, I would say just Sunny's Breaker is fine. Anywho, I don't know we got on that tangent, but those are the things I know about Magic the Gathering. If we haven't mentioned, Off the Grid is this weekend. Who's going? I'm stoked. It's going to be streamed. Check it out on twitch.tv/San Francisco, which you spell like this. That's a surprise. French Netrunner is actually pretty cool. they're like translations for like make a run is lancer un piratage, which means like launch a piratage. I don't. It's fun. It's because the cards that exist that caused issues. Yes. We only have MTG. If you named a card that didn't exist, you would get a warning from a judge. Whoa. This weekend. Is a big celebration. It's going to be people playing in person in the old FFG Game Center. Now the Game Center, totally different place. Hope everyone has a good time. Again, vaccinations required. Bring your masks. Stay safe, y'all. But that's amazing. Launch a raid. Yeah, it's great. Lancer un piratage. Okay. I think that's it. And I think we're going to get to deck building. It's 10:20. We got it. And we're going to build something awful. And we're going to do it. And we're largely going to build something because this was pointed out as a change to this 1.5 rules. I don't know if anyone's done this or I haven't seen it being done. But I reckon we can do it. If you all know what I'm talking about. Comprehensive Rules 1.5 came out a couple weeks ago. A month ago. And it really doesn't change much about how you play Netrunner. I don't think there's anything that's functionally changing the game. There's a lot, and now we understand the timing orders of stuff more than we did before because breach wasn't well identified on certain cards. But I think one of the rules that did change is accessing cards and breaching servers. And this is not something I've discovered. I've heard this first during one of the streams. Sokka was mentioning this, I think during APAC stream. Are you reading anything good? No, I'm still trying to finish Dune. Sokka was playing this first randoms and getting kills. Oh, okay, cool. We'll try it out. Onsell gank time, exactly. Solomir, I played this game sometime in the past weeks. This deck, I didn't. We've never played it. So basically what's happening, that Nisei redefined what breaching servers is. If you haven't checked out this document, mind you, it is like hundreds of pages of really clear legalese rule stuff, which is a huge testament. Cleaning up the rule set of this game is just immense, and they look like they did a fantastic job. So shout out to the Nisei team. So let's talk about accessing cards. It's important to know that when we're talking about cards in a server, it's now referred to in the root of the server, regardless if it's a central server or remote server. So we're going to be talking about accessing cards in, I guess it doesn't matter what server, in the root of a server. And one of the things they talk about accessing is they use this new, I guess, keyword called a candidate, in which when you access a server, cards are determined to be called candidates, okay? So these cards are associated with a breach server that the runner could potentially access are called candidates. So the idea is if you run a remote server that has 2 cards installed in the root server, those are both your candidates. And then you choose the order that you access all the candidates. That is important to know. So basically, we knew this before when you run a remote server that you have to access all the cards, but if a card was added to the remote server mid-run, you weren't forced to access it from my understanding. The same way that if you like accessed archives and cards were added to archives mid-run, you weren't forced to access them if you didn't want to, but you had to access the same amount of cards that were in archives when the run started, because then you were locked to accessing X cards. It's weird. No longer only HQ Continentals have roots. Yes, roots now is the term used for all servers. So the one thing that's really important is, I think it's at the top of this page. Okay, the candidates at the beginning of a breach are as follows. Each card in the root of the breach server is a candidate. Okay, we know that, and I think it's at the top of here. Cards entering a server while a breach is in progress can become candidates. So if you can add a card to a server mid-run, the runner has to access it. So if a card enters the root of a server during a breach, it becomes a candidate. If a card enters a corpse hand, whatever. But this sentence is the most important. If a card enters the root of a server during the breach of the server, it becomes a candidate, which means it's one of the options that the runner has to choose to access while they're breaching this server. So this is what we do. You may have heard this before. Did the folks at CTZ was doing this? Did CTZ end up with a kill? Because there's 2 ways to do it. I think they're both ridiculously inconsistent, but we're going to try to do it because Continental seasons is over and we're not upholding to doing anything competitive. So we're going to do a new corp deck. Well, actually, let me show you the 2 combos that we can do for this to make sense before we try and put it into practice. So the idea is that the runner is accessing a card in a remote server. Okay, let's talk about Ganked. Ganked is a card that the runner will access. It'll be a candidate, and when they access the Ganked, you trash it, and then suddenly they encounter ice that's on that server. So the idea with Ganked is if you have a server with a Ganked in it, and then you gank them into something like a drafter, and then if the drafter fires and installs a card from archives or HQ into that remote server, that card that you just installed with the ganked drafter becomes a candidate, and they're forced to access it. So on that alone, you can in theory gank someone into a drafter, install a snare from HQ, and they have to hit the snare. That alone is exciting, but now we can start doing infinite loops. Because one thing that's important to understand about Ganked is that when Ganked fires, you trash it. So Ganked will be in the archives, right? The runner accesses a card, you may trash it, and then they're forced to encounter the res piece of ice. So you could gank someone into a drafter, and if they can't break the drafter, you can install the ganked that you just trashed back into the drafter server. They access the ganked, you trash it to make them access the drafter, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. A fun card that's not often plays Intake, another great ambush. Let's go in Diogene. So this means that you can technically make them perpetually access a gank that you can reinstall over and over again, forcing them over and over again into the drafter. Now, why you'd want to do that, and is that reliably going to happen? Those are two issues. We'll tackle those one at a time. Firstly, is this going to reliably hit? There are ways to make this reliably hit. And one of the big cards here is Helheim servers. You could also in theory run, I'm pretty sure, Corporate Troubleshooter. But Helheim servers, you could technically wait until the runner's about to access the server. And then you res Helheim servers, you dump your whole hand, giving your drafter 13 strength if you have 5 cards in hand, and you gank them into a 13 strength drafter. And there's a big chance that they can't deal with the 13 strength drafter, and then it's worth knowing that the Helheim servers keeps that strength boost for the whole run, and the runner's still in the same run when they're accessing that ganked 100 times. So Helheim servers is a nice way to surprise the runner into a drafter. There are other ways. If the runner like boomerangs through a drafter, the boomerang gets used, and if they ganked back into the drafter, if they don't have a way to deal with the drafter, sometimes in the early game that can fire sooner than later. So there are ways to do this. I think Corporate Troubleshooter also works, and honestly might be better. I'm rusty on my rules. Can't they choose to jack out? There is no jack out window once you're breaching a server. The last time you can jack out is like step 4.3, something like that, where you ask the runner, are you sure you want to access? And if they say yes, you still have a paid ability window to res things. So you can res traps or res defensive upgrades or whatever you need. But once they've committed to accessing, there's no running away unless they end the run somehow. So if you ganked someone to an end the run and the run ends, then they're no longer required to access all the other candidates that were in the root of the server. How's it going, Izzy? Corporate Troubleshooter also works because it gets +X strength for the remainder of the turn. So if this for one influence, I think both of these work. Corporate Troubleshooter is, I think, more flexible, but that's an option. Again, gank doesn't send you back in the server, it just forces the encounter while breaching. Yes, it doesn't. But the idea is that if you add another candidate to the server using the ability on the drafter, that becomes another candidate in the server that you're breaching. So yeah, you don't have to, it's not like you're getting an additional, do you want to access step? They're just it's like, okay, there's 2 candidates, access the first one. Oh, it's a ganked. It's installing a 3rd candidate. Shit. So now I have to access that candidate before I can end breaching, and it goes on and on and on. So there's no jack out window. Now the question is, why is that worth doing? Because the drafter over and over again doesn't win you the game. Back in the day, there was cards like Talbot. This technically would work, that you could install infinite Alex cards, so you could get infinite money with Alex Talbot. Can you win a Netrunner game with infinite money? Honestly, not always. I don't think so. But you, in theory, could have infinite money. And I've played loops that have given infinite money before. Back in the day, you largely needed cards like Drafter or Architect, which is the old Drafter, and then other cards like the one that prevents you from jacking out. But infinite money is a thing you can do in Netrunner. This card isn't legal anymore. So then there's 2 ways that you can do this that actually matter. First one is Kusanagi. Project Kusanagi, if you score this as a 2-0, it doesn't do much, but if you score this as a 3-0, you get an agenda counter. So then you can choose to give that drafter a do 1 net damage subroutine that keeps it for the entire run, so you can force the runner infinitely back into that drafter until they are inevitably dead. No amounts of I've had worses or net damage protection is going to prevent them from this. They will die. Does the Nisei informant give you credits if you access a ganked? I don't know. What's the Nisei? Yeah, it should, because you don't trash it. Anywho, is this actually implemented like this on Jinteki? Because otherwise this is going to be clunky AF to do. Stoppable, that is not going to stop us, because I don't know, it's probably not. You're right. That is one way that you can get lethal. So again, to set up, you need to score Project Kusanagi as a 3-0. Sick. You need to get ganked in a remote server. You need a drafter on the remote server, and they need to run it and commit to access. And you need to have Corporate Troubleshooter credits and or enough Helheim, and they can't be able to break the drafter at least 1 extra time. It will work on JNet. Oh wow, that's dope. Anyways, Tall Order. Now there's one other way to do this, and instead of Drafter, the other card that has that similar ability is the new On Sell card. Again, the newest winner card from 2018 European Champion. This lets you install one card from HQ or archives. Is Shock legal? No, Shock is not legal. It hasn't been for a really long time, in fact. So you may install one card from HQ or archives. That's the same ability. Now on-sell is a bit trickier because if the runner runs into this, and even if they can't pay to break the on-sell, they could always click through one of these. So you have to make sure you do it later on in the turn. And then if you attach a wet work refit to this, that means that it can do a brain damage every time they hit them. Why just a remote server? It doesn't have to be just a remote server, actually. It can be any server. I think I've been saying remote server, but this works on any server. Yeah, Shock rotated, Breach Dome rotated. There was no damage archive traps. Okay. So if Shock was how does it work on the archives? Can the runner just access the route without the archives? No. If Shock is in archives, the runner is committing to access archives, they access all cards. So when you're running any server, like so the way the candidates work for central servers, if you run R&D and you're accessing a single card, your candidate is the top card of R&D and every upgrade on R&D. So every card in the route. It's no different from archives. So if you're running archives and there's 7 cards in archives and 2 on the 2 upgrades, you have to access all 9 cards. Yeah. Yeah, it was a bit more weird back in the day with the rulings that if cards were added mid-archives run, you didn't have to access them. But yeah, no, you don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. It's just access everything always. And if things are added, access those too. Which honestly is pretty interesting because that makes technically bacterial programming a bit scarier, but only if there's traps that fire from archives, and there's not. I once scored a Kusanagi with 7 counters. Did you just moosh and advance it? Or did you like, I don't know, Red Planet Couriers it? Man, 7 counters. That's really scary, actually. You just res like a neutral. You res like a, what's it called? Excalibur, and they die. Oh, Konjin works too. Are there traps that fire from HQ? Yeah, just about every trap in the game fires from HQ. There are very few traps that only fire when installed. Okay, so this is what we're going to build. Now, it's pretty bad because almost all the cards are from a different faction. Like if we're doing the Kusanagi one, we have to play Jinteki. And then we have to import drafters and boosters. So drafters and like corporate troubleshooters or Helheim. We have to import Ganked. We also then probably can't import, what's it called? We can't import Jackson, Spin Doctor. Sorry, it's been eternal. So that one seems a bit risky. Now, if we do the HB one and we do Wet Work Refit and On Sell, I think people are going to see it coming a bit more because those are really weird cards. But we could do that, and then the only thing we have to import is the Ganked. So that one's probably more consistent. I don't know what y'all think, because the Jinteki one, like, you have to do a lot of ridiculous stuff. Like, scoring an agenda is a problem. Add Confusion for the influence. Yeah, that helps a bit. That does help a bit. It is hard to get traps to use advancement tokens to fire. It depends on the matchup. There's a lot of matchups in which if you advance cards on a table, the runner has to run them, or they can die to traps that fire if they don't run them. So I'm thinking we probably try the HB one, and at that point, like, the question is whether we run something like Architects of Tomorrow, which will make me upset eventually, which means that we can res some of our Byroids cheaper. I don't even think we have to do that. There's a chance because we're running so many upgrades, we might just be best played as a group. I can't realize in Arkham there's so many cards that say limit once or it's like spend clues as a group, and the whole time it's ace a group, and I never figured it out. Do the Jinteki ones do the Jinteki one for the sheer glory of pulling it off once. I feel like that's probably where we should start, is we just do P for the glory. But the big issue about Jinteki is like people are very, very apprehensive to run without a killer, right? Like trying to get them with a drafter in Jinteki seems so difficult. Imagine playing Wet Work and AOT without the gank combo. Yeah, but then you play like the lady that gives them an extra subroutine. It could be really fun. I think you play Jinteki, the opponent might hesitate to run with that killer. Yeah, Pat, I 100% agree. How's it going, bud? I feel like that's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. So I think we're going to start with the buy rate one. And if that lands, maybe we'll like push our limits. As in Jinteki, maybe you could use Konjin. It's not sustainable though, right? Because Ganked only lets you encounter an ice on the server. So if it's a Konjin, We have to pay 0, 1, or 2. And if we ever fail that, we're done. So yeah, Conjun doesn't really work. Are you feeding Andre lines? Yeah, the chat delay is real. It's like 6 or 7 seconds. So you react. It takes me a while to react to all your typing. Okay, let's get this in here. So, we're saying Architects of Res are Bass, like Bass Chiraboga, right? I don't know if we want to score out. I guess we have to just to force the issue so they run the remote server. The issue is like once you put like 2 upgrades in a remote server, people just say like, I guess that's like it looks like an Anoetic into a Manic-Arm, and they just run R&D. Luckily, we can put this on R&D if we need to, but let's see what we need to do. So we'll run some on cells. Okay, 3. We need to run some Ganked. Okay. We do a Serrano de Bergerac thing every stream except for the first Thursday of every month. So 3 Ganked is a lot, and mind you, this card is just fine on its own. Like, it's not a bad card. Wetwork Refit is like awkward. Oh, another thing that you can do with this is oh man, what's the name of the yellow like ice upgrading card that is it has like a Walkman on it? Does anybody know which one this is? Collection standard. Because you could technically do that with this combo. It doesn't win you the game, but you could do the eavesdrop. Yes, thank you. But this is another thing that you could do. You can force someone to an eavesdrop over and over again to give them infinite tags. And then they will not be able to clear the tags at all. So this is something you could, in theory, do in Jinteki and then just like import the on-cells or the drafters. And honestly, you can import the drafters pretty reasonably in like an NEH deck. But like this is possible. It's honestly possible. It's pretty goofy. I don't know if you've ever played eavesdrop decks with Thimble Rig and they keep it like encountering it like 5 times on the run. Oh man, it's so good. But yeah, anyways, I think that's another way that you could do this. Anyways, let's start with that. And then let's build the rest of the deck. So we're not gonna be scoring it very aggressively. So I guess we do Project Vacherons. I've heard it's pretty good. We can do like Cyberdeck Sandbox. We can do like a neutral suite. So Sandbox is good. That'll keep us going. We run Luminal. I don't know. Is there any agenda that actually helps us with our win condition? Because otherwise I'm just going to put like Off-World Office in there and be happy about it. Rhyme can boost ice strength on your drafter, but feels kind of ineffective. Yeah, it doesn't really help that much. And I don't know if we're going to be a Jinja deck. But yeah, Rhyme is just not that impactful compared to like if we just put another ice in front of it, they actually have to break. They'll generally spend more money than on Rhyme. Can we 1x Brainstorm for the other Dream Kill? Yeah, why not? Why not? Admittedly, if they see this, they might be a bit, again, reticent of running. Spell Checker has an ice card flavor text. I did not say duck. Brainstorm is good. What else do you want Ganked into? Like, we no longer have Kamainu. Anything that like keeps subs for the whole run is like really nice with Ganked. I don't know whether we're gonna afford a tier. I'll be pretty impressed if we can. So I don't know if there's any agendas that like really help our suite. Oh wait, actually. Wait, what's that one that you can free res an agenda? Or an ice, excuse me. It's not good. Is it still a card? SensorNet? We could SensorNet. It's obviously really bad, but even if we're on like 0 credits, we can fire the Ganked combo. Oh, you think send a message. You guys have like thinking of better cards. Like in theory, if we have 0 credits and then we could, but in theory, that's never going to work because Wetwork Refit requires a Res Biroid. Yeah, okay, never mind. Oh, Remote Enforcement. Yeah, that technically fits that, but I think we're just going to get money because I think we need money. Cyberdeck Sandbox. So yeah, sorry, this is not going to be anything too flashy. In theory, we could also play Foods instead of Vacheron. We haven't used too much of our influence. We actually have a fair bit of influence to try and make this work. We actually can run like really mean ice because we have Ganked, we have Helheim, we'll probably have Corporate Troubleshooter as well. So we can try and run some of the like the meanest ice we can find. Vacheron hasn't been banned yet. Yeah, enjoy it while you can. 4 clicks. Let's go. So I think we'll just play what's it called? Offworld. Agenda Suite, let's go. Okay, we can play Spin Doctors. That's good because we actually have to draw a lot. We're Asa Group, so we're pretty good with upgrades. I reckon we do probably want to play Tranquility Home Grid. I think that's just a good ass card. You should run some drafters. That would make a lot of sense. That would make quite a lot of sense too. Yeah, okay. Helheim and Troubleshooter is just spiteful. Yeah, maybe I don't know if we play a tier. What else can we run that's just like really, really bad for them? Like I want to DNA Tracker or like an Anansi. Like we want to do something really mean. Magnet to tech against Borealis. Actually, Connor, we want to encourage Borealis, and to some extent, we want to encourage Boomerang too, because if they use their Borealis token and they get through their ice and then they get ganked into the ice again, they're usually goofed. Like it's usually really bad for them. So, one more spin doctor and you can slot a Salem's. Oh man, that is spiteful in a different direction. I don't even know why. So to do hedge funds, we'll do. We're really good with Rashida because we can install it clicklessly. We have tranquilities. We probably want to get that to 3. We probably do want just some Chrysiums just so we don't lose on centrals, which I'm worried is going to happen, but we always can put our combo on centrals. Chiashi is probably way too much money because we don't even seem to be that rich. I know our money is going to largely be Tranquility Home Grid. Maybe we get NGO fronts in there too to like force the run more often. But we just don't have enough ice here. When our ban list typically dropped, I don't think they have a regular cadence, but I would reckon every 2 or 3 months. Spider? Anansi? I feel like we have too many sentries here. Yeah, apparently that's too much influence. You can land the gank from a central too. Yeah, no, we definitely can. We definitely can. We can land the whole combo from a central. Come on, one Chiashi. I'm not asking for the world here. But okay, let's figure out our ice suite yet and then see like whether we need code gates or sentries more. Otherwise, what do we have? We can run a Fairchild, but Fairchild just ends the run, so it's a bad ganked candidate. Eli's not a good ganked candidate, but it's just fine. Hagen is also just fine. Probably better than Eli. What else we got? 12 credits to Res is in fact asking for the world. It is a bit expensive. How's it going, Cactus? Mouseless? Mouseless is okay, but it's like 3 influence if I'm not mistaken, so we can't exactly slot it in. Interestingly enough, this combo will work if we also play Ravana, because Ravana can copy a Resed Vikram and can copy a wet work brain damage. Actually, this works. If you just get him with a Ravana and then you just have a Resed on Cellon, you have a Resed brain damage subroutine. Does Loki do anything? Loki's not a bad ask either, but this actually works. This is possible. You can do this without wet work if with Ravana. Huh. No FLOP. No fully operation. No, I don't think so. I don't think we're set up to do enough. Like we are running out of cards, but admittedly we can cut probably some of this stuff. I'd really be really impressed with Brown and Standard. I think Brown and Standard is quite nice. I'm just worried that we're too top heavy right now. Like this is 6, this is 9, this is 3, this is 8. Like we're gonna draw real clunkers of hands. If there's enough cheap upgrades and assets for divert power. No, how much do you need to get value of this for it to be good? I don't think you have enough creds to stick troubleshooter. I think you're right about that. I think we can pull this and probably play another Helheim and be happy with it. How do we get money in here? Like money is a huge issue. We're only at 13 ice as well. Like we just need to get more money in here. And we have influence. Yeah, Maryland's good. Maryland's good. And maybe we do play fully op if we play Maryland, but then I think like our ice is gonna be spread out. That's 49 cards already. Score agenda is easy. We're not even running like what's it called? We're not even running that upgrade. Managarm. Okay, so if we open with this hand, this is honestly fine. This is fine, right? Like we Rashida Hagen, we put a drafter on HQ, click for credit. We get 4 cards hopefully. Then we set up our on sell. Biotic Labor doesn't work with any part of our deck really. We're running a single 3-2 agenda and we're not really excited to spend 4 credits to score an agenda. Why not Clearinghouse they can fork them with? Because it's influence and it's massively expensive. Like I'd rather just fork them with us winning and getting money at the same time than be like I spent 5 turns to try and kill you. Why Tracker? Just for the net? Wouldn't Ike work for cheaper? Ike lets them draw cards so it can't be lethal. This is just hoping to be like a big scary thing, but it's by no means necessary. Magnets everywhere and you're playing 0 in faction? Yeah, but we're not playing it like Continentals. I'm not that worried about Borealis, and even if they Borealis us, like Ganked will goof them up. Yeah, MCAAP is even better. Yeah, you're right. MCAAP is actually kind of nice for this deck. I like MCA a lot. Huh. We need to run a Byroid that says brain damage on it for Ravana. What Byroid says brain damage on it? That's not bad. Because we want to Ravana into brain damage so we don't have to rely on wet work. Tear and Brainstorm? There has to be something cheaper than that, though, because I don't think we're going to res either of them. And Brainstorm's not a Byroid. Kamali, yeah, Kamali does. But it's optional, so it's not what we want. Vikram probably does. No, also not optional. So it has to be, what's it called? The code gate. What's her name? Does Zed deal brain damage unconditionally? Oh, no, only if they click through things. No, Zed doesn't do it. What's her name? There's the one from Mars. Noreen. Yeah, let's go. Zed and Victor. Victor's no longer in the card pool. Yeah, Noreen works. I think it's the only one that does unconditional brain damage. Is Kamala conditional? They run a cards of trash instead they eventually write? Oh, yeah, you're right. It doesn't really matter because we can grind them out. Sentry on 3. As opposed to Noreen, which is Code Gate on 4. Black Orchestra breaks this for 3? Oh my god. Victor East DRs, Victor rotated. Victor did not make it this year. I feel like I'd rather have a Code Gate. Unity breaks Noreen for 3 cards with a full rig. Yeah, I know. But it's just not going to be good ice. Vikram should be fine. It's not like they have infinite money for traces. I feel like, though, we have too many sentries. Like, Vikram just seems like a worse on sell. What did normal damage work? Yeah, Gil, normal damage works, but Byroids don't do any other damage than brain damage, right? Oh, wait, Loki is sick. When the runner encounters Loki? Oh, wait, so if we can get them to encounter this over and over again, it continually gets its subroutines. Oh, but it has an unend the run. That's a problem. We can't let it have an end the run. Yeah, no end the run. Fairchild 2. Oh, Fairchild 2 actually has a subroutine that's brain damage. Oh, that's sick. I thought it was conditional. No, we'll do that for sure. No, that's huge. That's exactly what we want. Yeah, I forgot Loki has a ETR that gives the choice to the runner. Okay, 51 cards, not using all our influence. What can we put in for just money? Rototurret neither does net damage nor is a Byroid. Okay, opening hand's really bad. Only way to disable Loki's ETR is empty the runner's grip and stack. Get him. Okay, so this is fine, right? Hedge fund. This is not great. No, it's not great. Don't really have anything aggressive to do here. We're not playing Seamless. Is Oslo Grip the right thing to do? Because right now there's so little of ice that actually ends the run, right? Like Hagen ends the run, Eli doesn't, DNA, Ravana, Onsal. There's only one ice that ends the run. So like jamming out early is actually quite difficult. So I imagine that we do want to just change this for something that's a bit that we actually can. Like we probably should just get some gatekeepers in here. Probably drop the Eli's. Play a third Hagen, whatever, and play like 2 gatekeepers or even 2 Enigmas. Like I'm fine with that. Just play sports. No. We've seen too much sports. We're not doing sports. Helheim servers. Tranquility home grid. Okay, we need to cut something. I just don't. Does anyone have a good idea how to do influence on this thing? Like I feel like there's must be so many ways to get value from what we're doing. And that's because when you gank someone into it, they face check it the first time. Yeah. MCA might help with Econ plus MM. Oh, Mirror Morph. Oh, I do like that actually. I do like that a heck of a lot. Mirror Morph I think will make them more aggressive. And then we can play yeah, I like that a lot, Loathing. I think that's a good idea. So the Asa group installs will matter. We do have upgrades, but like I don't think we're gonna be hitting it every turn. So what we can do is go to Identity, change to Mirror Morph, put some MCA austerities. MM is super duper sick before when it makes you so sad. That's everyone though, right? And now we just have to cut cards though. So we don't want those. That is everyone, yeah. Or even nano etching. Yeah, nano etching hasn't been bad. Nano etching has been fine, but it's hard to put it in a server with austerity as well. So I guess you do a different server. But I like that idea. But like, we're just so bloated. I reckon we can drop the tranquilities then, and then we could play. Yeah, we'll play some nano etching. I wonder how often we're gonna fire a trigger. I think it's so important that we have austerity stick. RLC and subliminal also make money in yeah, the problem is like we have so many slots. We have way too many slots. And again, we can like marry these slots in. Like we still have influence, but we're over cards. Right now we're at 60 nice, which is probably fine. Restore is good for bringing it back. No, I believe it for sure. It also lets us bring it back ganked, which is really nice. So I kind of like it. Maybe we have enough damage that we can get rid of the wetwork refits. Yeah, we can go down to at least 1. NGO front's a bit harder to play when we have this thing camping our remote. So we're at 13 influence right now. We actually should just drop the Vastrons and play food. I don't feel too bad about that. Now they have to steal 4 agendas. That's pretty good. This seems okay. Play subliminal? Yeah, Marcus, I think we should. I just don't know what slots to put it in. Like, do we drop the NGO fronts? Red level clearance is also a very good card, but I don't know what slot we'd play for it. And I think we do want to play restore. So our question, do we have to get an unsell with a trigger on it, or do we just try to make our Ravana do the thing we want to do? Ravana's harder to break. Yeah, let's try dropping this entirely. And just see if we can get the Ravana play. I think we're going to drop the Brainstorm. We shouldn't. Are we breaking the Brainstorm? Dump Drafters? Drafters is really good. It's another option. Oh, but you're right. It's never lethal. Yeah, Drafter actually doesn't matter. Yeah, no, you're right. Do you need the gatekeepers here? I like having end the runs because we don't have hard end the runs. I don't know if it's necessary. Maybe we do 1 red level. I don't know what we can do with the slot. Probably second restore, honestly. This seems fine. Next activation is interesting in Mirror Morph MC. I think possibly still bad though. We want them to run though. If you play that, they generally don't run. I'm gonna feel bad saying that we want them to run. This seems okay. We're at 8, 4, 7. We're at 15 ice. That seems a bit low. Maybe we drop a restore for an ice. Barriers, code gates are heavy. Why 2 subliminals? Just so that we draw it as soon as possible because Mirror Morph really wants a subliminal. You're going to need an onsell res if you're using Ravana. Yeah, no, I'm aware. So we're going to have to res an onsell and we're going to have to get a Fairchild 2 resed. So we'll just assume that we'll get there. All right. Infinite damage. We'll try this. 1 Eli over the 3rd Hagen gets an ETR on Ravana if you do need it. Oh yeah, I think that's cute. I think you're right. If we need a score, that's definitely worth pursuing because we have no ETRs on our Biroids. Even maybe Brawn in the slot. But I think we're pretty top heavy already. Is Brawn better than Eli? I think it is. I just worried that our economy won't be there. So maybe we'll try this once, and if it really isn't good, we can get the we can substitute for the Brawn. But I think the Brawn is definitely an option. Honestly, if they are poor enough though, just Onsell and Ganked is enough to ruin their board. Yes, but I'm trying to infinite combo them when I got like I don't want to just win by scoring agendas. I want to like get them, you know. Infinite power, HB. Is Mirror Morph not an HB? Oh, it's not. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna update this deck list in in Keyhole. So if you're watching on Twitch, just give me 1 second, and you should be able to see the deck list. What's the infinite combo? So Cactus, in short, if you install a card mid-access or mid-breach on a server, they have to access the card you've installed. So you can use a ganked, trash itself, and then fire an onsell to install that same ganked over and over and over again. So with a Ravana, we can basically replicate an install subroutine, and we can replicate a brain damage subroutine, and then they're forced into that loop until they die. Abstractly. Can install multiple servers into one server to ensure it hits? Yes. Yeah, we have a couple tricks. None of them are reliable, but we have a couple options. Like we can always just gank them into something good. Also, if they hit the gank before they hit the agenda, which mind you, we always have to advance our agendas because we don't have seamless. We are going to. They can potentially end the run. That's nuts. That's so sick. Yeah, no, it's a new thing that showed up in the rulings of 1.5 because now a card added mid run or mid breach, you have to access it. Don't think it used to be like that. Not reliable is fine. If the combo is consistent, it'll get banned. Yes. Yes. No, I don't think it needs to be good. And admittedly, like everything we're doing on its own is good. Like I'm glad we're not playing Wet Work Refit, but like Ganked is a fine card. We saw Ganked win America Continentals last year. Like it's good. HBI's Ganked. It's good enough. We could also just like play more defensive upgrades and just play a meaner deck to some way. Smoke. Oh, Smoke actually bypasses sentries. So she might struggle breaking sentries the second time around. But she is very good at dealing with sentries. Sounds bad. Do you be cognizant of the fact that you have to manually end the run if Ganked ends the run? Otherwise, Jaina will let them access the rest of the server. I don't actually know how Ganked works. It's been a while, and I think they fixed it. Did we cut Helheim? No, I think we still have it, geeks. All Helheim. Yeah, we don't have Troubleshooter because of the money. Oh, this looks really bad. So we can install this. We can subliminal credit, but then we can't install a card. This probably, I'd put my money on the imp list. Ganked is still not implemented? Uh-oh. Oh, that's real bad. So we can install food. We can install spin dock on top of it. Just to get out of her hand. Otherwise, we can draw to 8. Yeah, this is fine. Okay. So their win condition is likely conduit. So if we just click twice, we can throw out 2 agendas. I don't think we need to throw out 2 agendas. We can throw out 1 agenda. That's good enough. 10-4 kind of needed here. Yeah, no, it'll be very important in this matchup because Smoke can specifically deal with ice pretty elegantly. Ganked is half implemented. You can still fire the subs manually, but the breaking interface stuff doesn't work, so they need to sub credits manually if they're breaking. That's going to be a nightmare for Smoke. So in theory, we could shuffle this card back in. So if she runs R&D twice, she's not going to get 2 accesses, but I don't think we're going to do that. By she, I mean Smoke. The player is he, excuse me. Shit. But what can you do? Damn, I'm good. Oh, they got the after image down. Click 1. Oh, do they know what we're doing? That is so frustrating. Luckily, they don't have 2 stealth credits. So that's not going to be too bad. So we could jam Gatekeeper and Remote with the austerity policy. That's 2 installs on turn. Again, we don't want to do 3 things. So we could do draw, install, subliminal, click for credit. Seems bad. I feel like we need a double install. Good thing that's not Vacheron. Yeah, this is way better that that's not Vacheron. That's for sure. So he is poking, excuse me. Well, we can put a gank there. I'll draw once. Oh, right. We need the Ravana too. I forgot how much work we've put in front of ourselves. Put this, I guess, on R&D. I'll hit this and then we can gain credit. Gain a credit. Okay, good enough. Yeah, remember to trigger Mirror Morph. It was difficult. I wanted to hold on to that subliminal because now they know and now they're more likely to run, but the runs are a bit worse this turn. Unfortunately, having 2 ganked here is pretty awkward, and they'll see it if they run HQ, but hopefully we can spin Doctor them back. And this card, mind you, does need stealth credits. They can always boost once, but the stealth credits will limit their ability to use this over and over again if we gank them into something. But I think we're trying to gank them into Ravana, which means it's kind of silly we put this here. But we do have to res a bunch of our ice. Maybe we also could play cards that help us res stuff, like mid-run. They have 2 stealth tokens. They might be okay to run. Particularly after the game, you're going to try to find cuts for RLC. RLC is the sort of card that's obviously very good when you play it, but I've very unlikely, like not often felt like I want to add it to a deck. Oh, they've hit a ganked. The cat's out of the bag. Trash for 3. It's fine. Bring it back in. Click for credit. So we don't have subliminal. Subliminal requires them to make a run. Okay. All right. So I think we're just going to go here. We're going to do install. We have 9 credits. It's hard for them to deal with a gatekeeper, right? It's tricky. They haven't drawn a lot. I think we're going to push for it. The other option is to install this, click it, and then like ice up HQ. A lot of the smoke decks don't run Clot because they their influence is like tight on things like Trickster Taka and Imp or whatever. Or sometimes Paragon. We'll do this. Obviously, we can't res both of these ice. They don't know that. I think the HQ looked really soft there. Yeah, it was okay. I think HQ might get you subliminal value. I think that's right, but I feel like they need to set up. I think if they run here to deny subliminal, that's like totally fine. Especially if they're just running for a single. They don't have dirty laundry or imp or anything. Like, I'm okay with that. Because they have a lot of setting up to do before our ice isn't scary to them. And if they're spending clicks doing not that, A+. I don't think they're running any viruses. Oh, wow. Quetzal? What is this going to be? Oh, Steve. Shit. Okay, well, they're going to run HQ a heck of a lot. Damn, now we really want to ice HQ. All right, let's go. So it's going to be creative or laundry. Choose which card to remove from the game. I would rather remove the dirty laundry. They act as a Helheim servers. They can trash that? No, they can't. They discarded a political operative after accessing a Helheim. I guess this is instant speed, but that is kind of... I'm surprised by that. So we have 3 ice out of how much in the list? 4, 9... So there's, 13 ice left in the deck. So if we draw, we have a chance here. We can draw at least once. Beans. We can draw again. That's good enough to put that on HQ. Again, they'll probably click through this because the value of Steve is so strong. I reckon their last click wants to be creative commission, so they could run here first click. I don't know if they're scared of code gates, but sentries are pretty easy for them right now. Jazzy said bots are invading. Am I missing something? I don't see any bots. Is that a Steve thing? And so far, our mirror morph value has been pretty abysmal, but I don't think we're doing a good job building into it. Red level clearance is such a card. I think they click through here. It's Eli. And the round 4 is undercosted for 3. But they can click through it, and they will. So the denies subliminal gets a Steve access, which will be like Paul Up or Diesel, which is pretty funny. Honestly, I don't think any of them goof us up. Actually, for MCA austerity, we care about Paul Up. Yo, Kat, stream's going well. We played the deck list a week, and now we're trying to combo off. How's the vacation? Are you going to the OTG? I don't want to deal with Paul Up because of MCA, so I'm going to give them to Diesel, which is a bit regrettable. Because Shaper card draw, a small deck. Creative commission, there you go, 9-6. So we can score out here. Unfortunately, we'll have to throw something out. We have 3 of these in the deck. I'll score out. We'll purge. I'll throw one of those out. So with 5 credits... I wonder if they keep going through that Eli. I think we're okay if they do, right? Like, they're not getting value this turn off Steve unless they play an event first. And there you go, there's a Diesel. I can play this Diesel so many times. My partner's house was just 15 minutes from the FFG Center. Oh, man. I take it you're going. You also spelled center wrong. It's with a Z. That's awesome. I'm like mad jealous for the big in-person tournaments or the events. They're thinking 7 cards in hand again. They want to run a part of the FFG center. Thank you, appreciate it. So the split middle is still in there. Ah, jailbreaking here. Straight into a Ravana. This actually does end the run unless they click through it twice. We are... I think we res this. So they have to double click through this, which is going to be their whole turn. Because otherwise this mimics the end the runs on Eli. I guess we don't have to decide until they let these fire. But I think they can easily let these fire. And we want to get scary stuff res on R&D because we still have 2 ganks in there. And ganking into the Ravana and the run subroutine doesn't do much. It could interrupt the run if they hit it first. Feels bad. I don't know. This deck doesn't have that many agendas. We have a bunch in hand. So they're going to have to discard 2 here. We did draw into 2 agendas. They threw out an SMC and a Simul ships. Throwing out an SMC oftentimes. Oh, wow. DNA tracker. They saw that. So if we want to do this, we can do install, hit this, click for credit, and then just kind of have like a recovery turn. That seems fine. Otherwise, we can't install. We could play an operation, so we're just going to gain credit there. So that's fine. We started our turn with 2 credits. We're on 6, and we put this on the table. They probably should trash this. Unfortunately, if they trash this, like, it's a good economic swing for us because Smoke isn't amazing at dealing with assets until she gets down her Nemeker. But if they trash this, like, we're not getting our Mirror Morph trigger because we're not going to get Subliminal. What's the card that's hosting ID? That is DJ Fenris. It's a 1 of per deck that gives you a G mod from out of faction. So basically there's, I don't know, there's like half a dozen of them. And Smoke has picked Steve, which is one of the best candidates that's now back in the card pool. There's the Penrose, so that's the Code Breaker. So it's only 1 boost, but it has to be from a stealth credit. So again, that could be limited when we're dealing with Ganked. If they want to deal through the Ravana or through the DNA Tracker. DNA Tracker is actually 2 to boost, which is pretty good. But again, it's 8 credits. But that can easily be our remote server. It's also 2 to get to the Gatekeeper. So this is a 3 stealth credit, 4 stealth credits on top of the 2 to break the subroutine. So this actually might be a bit for them to get through this. I don't know if they're going to be playing the Penumbral Toolkit on the HQ axis. It might make sense with this HQ pressure. Basically gives you 2 ID abilities. Yeah, totally. From a limited card pool, but yeah. Zandorius, how's it going? I'm doing well. How are you? But they do have HQ pressure, so this is also 1-2 influence so far. Okay, so we're getting our Subliminal. That's so good. But we also do have a hedge fund. So I think we'll install the MCA. We'll hit the MCA. Then we can Subliminal. Then I think we can also hit the Nano Etching and hedge fund. But I'm worried about the HQ pressure. So we're gaining click here because this is more impactful. Then we can either play a hedge fund here, assuming that we have to spend 9, or we can ice up R&D. We can also put a Ganked here. Oh, the Ganked actually seems way better. I'm just worried they're going to smash HQ and steal all the agendas. I'm doing great. Freshly back from a week off. Went to a wedding. Oh, how was it? Did you have to travel far? Like destination type thing, or? Are destination weddings like a rude ask? Like you're asking a lot from people? Yeah, this is what I was worried about running HQ here because it's a 50%. I'm surprised they're doing here and clicking through this. But it makes sense if we're scoring austerity that we have something in here. So we have to hope we live 1 turn to get the DNA there. %50 chance of being lucky. But again, they want to do this with Steve. So we probably should have iced that up and just bluff that we could res it. They know. Diesel and Jailbreak, you can take the Diesel. I don't want your multi-axis. They hit the tracker. Okay, sick. That was the 1 card they didn't know. They did know. And that's their whole turn. Oh, that's good. So we can hit this. We can install. This is a really good turn. So that'll stymie that. And at this point, I think we just gain a credit. Next turn, we can score out here. Oh, no, we gain a click because this is better than a credit. Yeah, that's a bit better than a credit. I'm in BC, wedding in Ontario, Canada, so a bit of a trek. Wedding went great, but the plague prevents dancing. Oh, that's a bummer. I haven't been to any proper weddings, but I've been to wedding like receptions, and dancing's the best part. Where'd you go in Ontario? Now I Chicken Savage. It's really good, and you definitely should be trashing this. I'm surprised a lot of people don't. Especially because it denies subliminal on the way. They only have 3 clicks every turn. And I just don't know if we're going to be able to res our on cell to make the Ravana and our Fairchild to make the Ravana like do anything. Next turn we can score from hand. We can score a 4-2 because we can use this click it. Peterborough and Ottawa. Okay. I was there for a couple weeks. I don't know if I've ever been to Peterborough. So they're going in here for a single axis. It's 1 stealth credit and 2 to break. So they're spending money and they're denying us our subliminal. But it's just a single axis, which is kind of expensive. They still haven't found their Namakur or their Taka. But they're going to see what we draw. A lot of love Mirror. Got to get back to it. Mirror is really fun. But hey, they're using their credits, so this is good. It's not that expensive because they had recurring here and recurring here. So we can leave this on the table, I'm pretty sure. I don't think we need a score out this turn. No, we might as well just score out. Oh, it's a restore. Ooh, we should definitely score out. Or we can keep it till next turn, because how does it work? So if we place a power counter on this, then we pop it, then we're at 6, right? Then we install, we can get a click. So we're at 5. So we can actually restore it if I'm not mistaken, but I don't think we can res it. I haven't done the math, but I'm just going to believe in myself. So we have 5 clicks. Okay, so my math is wrong. But once we get this, we get a click back. Yeah, I can restore it, but can't click back. Okay. So we're not going to restore. So we scored out. We have 1 click left. I think we just hit nano etching. We could have drawn, but then we should have done that click 1. So I'm not going to commit to drawing last click. Yeah. And next turn we can do restore. We can click it, nano etching, and then play hedge fund if we need to. But I think 18 credits feels like a lot. Maybe we'll draw first and see how it goes. Yeah, the MCs seem really good right now. We can even just jam this, but I feel like just giving them 3 clicks is good because they still have a lot of setting up to do. They know we have this in hand as well. So they're pretty sure this is a DNA. I think they can say with certainty that this is a DNA tracker. And once we get the game point, like they have to run everything we put in the server, which is really good because we need to get our on-cell resed for the Ravana gank. So there's a chance that we just do install advance in server 1 to force the issue. But they might just try and win off R&D with like jailbreak or something. What do we have in here? A ganked. Yeah, okay. They have 9 cards in hand. They only have 16 left in the stack. And mind you, Smoke, not Sunny, is a 40 card minimum. So they've got more than half their deck. Turning wheel. Okay, that's scary. They can bounce off this end the run, so it's in our best interest to get something rezzed here so they can't just bounce off this Ravana. We'll see what they discard here. Whose console is it? Anacom? Whose? No one in particular. It just... Oh, no, sorry, that's not true. It's Lat's console. Excuse me. They threw it in an E-grid. Whoa, and a simul chip. And a second Paul-op. As subliminal. From the theme flavor, it came out in the same set as Lat, so I'm assuming it has to be Lat. Is this trying to Infinigat? Yeah. Oh no, Super Quarters Lat? That's a good point. I don't know. I forget what Anacom means. But yeah, Zendorius, we're Infiniganking. So I think we draw once here. I think we just push this in server 1. Subliminal, gain a click, hit this button. Oh, we still have a click left. I think we just do Rashida and remote. Yeah, because it's really good with this as well. Oncom came out in the second half after Lat. Yeah, so I don't know. I remember Nisei talked about this and saying like this is support for something that hasn't existed yet and now it's here. What does Oncom mean? The Buddhist theory of impermanence. Okay. I don't know. Do we have a Buddhist runner? Oh, they play peace. Sick. When you plan your turn and still end up with an extra click. I know, yo, Subliminal keeps getting me. And we're going to get Subliminal again this turn. But we're going to eat most of our turn on Luminal scoring. But we'll still have 3 clicks. And the problem with Mirror Morph, it's your first, second, and third click. And that always goofs me up. Okay, they have all their breakers. They hard cast the Paperclip from hand. So we'll res the Rashida, which they let us have. Subliminal comes back. Gain 3, draw 3, mandatory. Okay. So we're just going to do this and we're not going to Mirror Morph this turn. Score. So we have 3 clicks left. So we're going to get the winning agenda in there. We're going to get a Helheim in there. And what can we do here? We can do on cell infinitely. We can do an infinite on cell, which will trash your whole board state. Yeah, that seems good. If I'm not mistaken, that should fire. And the turning wheel seems like a bit too slow. New deck name, Res Camping? What do you mean? Yeah, so the idea is that if they run to the on-sell, we Helheim it so it becomes massive strength. So the bypassing is going to be difficult. They're dirty laundering R&D, no, just archives. And then the Ganked should reinstall itself. Again, if they have clicks left, they can just click through this. So ideally, they run earlier in the turn. But again, they only have 2 stealth credits. So they definitely need to click through at least one of these, but then we'll trash. Like in MMOs, when you camp someone's corpse after gank, you kill them again after resurrect. Oh, I've not really MMO'd. They drew a card too. That's good value. Onacom is really good. We might have actually wanted to put another on sell here, but then of course we can't score out. And they still need to steal like, okay, look at this. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So there's only 9 points left in the deck. It's 8 real points. So they have to steal 3 out of the 4 agendas in R&D. This agenda suite is like so good. Yeah, there's 9 agendas. There's 5 on the table. So there's 4 in R&D. They have to steal 3 of them. Like, yikes. All right, so they're not going to interact with our combo. That's fine. They can always just bounce off of this to get turning wheel tokens. There are cards we can add to our deck to like allow us to res our cards on our ability. Off-world Office is pretty nuts with no downsides. It's just a good card, yeah. All right, they're doing it. So they're using the stealth credit. So I don't think there's any way they run server 1. I think they're just, that's the problem with this deck is like they just respect, they fear the ganked. Like they see it coming because they did see the piece. But like this looks like an Anoetic Mana Garm. Like there's no way that anyone interacts with this favorably. Yo, what up, Eric? I have to steal about 40% of the agendas to win, but you have to score 33. Yeah, it's wild. It's really wild. We win, but we don't get it. I know, Mela, it's the worst feeling. When you win, but you won because you 26 credits and good ice. Again, could have fired there, but again, like the Ravana is only so good. Oh, okay. I don't think money matters here. So how much money do we need? 6, 7, 8. We only need 8 credits. Yeah, this seems fine. So it's a DNA tracker. This is going to fire. And if they hit an 8 ganked an HQ, which, you know, would be up to them. So this fires because they don't have the stealth credits. They knew this was here, but I think this is their only option. Boom. 3 influence spend. Let's go. So we hit Peace in Our Time, a Simul chip, and a self-modifying code. They lost 6 credits, so they're on 5. So they can get through the Eli, get a single access here. If there's a ganked in here and they hit it, we would win off the ganked. There's, what is that card called? Like the DNA one that you can trash to make them re-encounter the card. I think though they can jack out. I think they approach the ice again, which I used to play in DNA tracker decks with offer you can't refuse. Single access here. They can trash one of our cards. Yeah, code replicator. Yeah, but it doesn't work with a strategy because they can jack out. But it's technically like an okay card against things like Botulus and Boomerang, but like, no, not really. You can have Diesel. They hit the on sell, okay. Click for credit. All right, that is it. I understand why they don't want to run. Hey, good game. Man, we did an infinite loop. Wherever he is, Sanjay just smiled when DNA fired. Yeah, I believe it. Couldn't find my net. Oh, Mercur? A bummer. Are you on Taka too? Yeah, they couldn't find their net Mercur, so they were just scared to run because they couldn't spin up their credits. It looks like they probably have 2 in their bottom 14. Deck basically makes the nightmare server from hell. Yes, and then you score it from the nightmare. Yeah, that's the thing though. But the cool thing is like we can build the server on R&D as well. Like it doesn't have to be a remote server. Ah, bummer. She's a nice help for sure. Yeah, who needs infinite combos? We'll get it. We'll have one more game and we'll try and get the combo. But I promise you the combo is real. Beth is also really good. Yeah, but they could actually ran this. Like, funny enough, they could have ran this. And as long as they have a click left, like if they run this first click, get through the gatekeeper. I guess they can't get through the on-sell the first time because they just run out of stealth credits. Yeah, okay, never mind. But that's one of the downsides for the on-sell combo versus drafter is that you can just click through the one subroutine on-sell that will cause infinite loop. Ciao, ciao. Oh, they're gone. Let's do one more. We're a corp. Oh, beans. Hey, Eric. Eric's gonna 419 us. Drafter Ganked is infinite, yes, but you need to like add damage to the combo to be good. So you need to like Project Kusanagi it. Yeah. When we build a fun deck and then Eric shows up and plays 419 and absolutely crushes us, feels good, man. Feels good. How's it going? Thanks, man. Yeah. Good. Okay. Opening hand against 419. We just don't have a lot of money. Gotta do law homework. Oh, yo, it started? That's cool. Heck yeah. I forgot his school started. The problem is like we have very bad ice against diversion because most of it can be clicked through. I'll keep a hedge fund in Crazy though against criminal. All right. Mr. Streamer, what are some of your favorite games to play outside of Netrunner? I've been really into Flesh and Blood right now. I think the game is really, really well made, and the new set's coming out. I'm pretty stoked about it. I play Arkham Horror a lot. That's great. Video games right now, I'm playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is quite nice. I have Partisans 1941, I think, lined up after that, which is fantastic. Maddie and I have been playing My City a fair bit. We're playing Chinatown tomorrow, which is nice. Sorry, I should probably have done this during Eric's turn. There's a lot. I have a big board game collection. We played Great Western Trail earlier this week, which is fantastic, and The Crew, very good stuff. Okay, so we need to put the end run on HQ. I'm aware once he gets down in Amakua, this is going to be a nightmare, but at least this is an okay face check. And I think this one's actually kind of interesting if they boomerangs it, because it doesn't go too far. But I think we'll put the Ravana on R&D, because we want to double install a lot of times around 419, because the 419 ability is first time per turn. Do you ever try Gloomhaven? Yeah, me and Maddie played through all of Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion last summer, and I think it's fantastic. Unfortunately, I've never got through all of Gloomhaven. I played a couple summers ago and we got kind of deep, but there's just so much content. And after you play Jaws of the Lion, where the setup takes like seconds, as opposed to Gloomhaven, where I have a nice wood organizer and everything, takes like 10 minutes to set up a scenario. I wish I played it more, but it's competing with everything else going on. I forgot we were Mirror Morph. Yeah, Eric and I play Flesh and Blood. You draw 4 cards every turn. It's basically Slay the Spire competitive. It's quite nice. So I think Eric will pressure this. So we drew, so we can do credit install. I think that's fair to do credit install. The problem is we have to start paying for the installs with to prevent Amakua. But I'm going to put this on HQ. We probably should have ice up archives as well, admittedly, so the Amakua counters don't get out of hand. But I don't think we want to do it with an on-sell. The crew is really good. We are, fuck, that's such a bad res. I've played it a couple times, never to 50. I think we're on like 12 right now. But Crew is like a cooperative trick-taking game, and it's something quite special. So this card dies to Boomerang pretty hard. But if he boomerangs the nano etching, I think I'm okay. But I think we'll just do... I don't think we can do naked nano etching because then Eric can just get Amaku counters on it. So we can do install. Double install is really bad. We need red level clearance to get around the mirror morph double install problem. Yeah, I'm dreading this. We'll draw once. Oh, that's good for archives. And now if we put a card in the remote server, we have to commit to being able to res it, because otherwise Eric can just run this to get Amaku counters, because Amaku just has to get to the breach step. It doesn't actually have to access a card. So a server with ice in front of it is a server. We put Hagen on the remote? Cool, I guess. All right, so we're gonna have to deal about an explosive diversion. We have the Chrysium, but our money's pretty bad. So I think we just like sit down nano etching, credit, like we draw once. Again, agendas are gonna be a problem soon, and Eric knows that. We put this into server 1 because we can't put it out naked. We res it, and then we gain a credit, and then we have to hit this every turn. But this should help us bypass the economic pressure. Inside job going straight in. Okay. And there's probably 2 agendas in hand because we've been drawing and not doing anything. I'm not going to res that. We will res the Chrysium. It's only weak to Polop, which he could have, but I don't think we res the Chrysium. It doesn't stop Amakua, right? It stops Penny Shaver. Oh, it's Spin Doctor. That's a good hit. Not trashing it, but trashing the Chrysium. Boomerang coming down, and there's the diversion. So that's the play. It's sick. And I... Like, man, Resin Gatekeeper into Boomerang is so bad. Because then it's down to 0 strength and the Amaku really eats it. So I think we just eat the Boomerang and replace it with the on sell next turn. So we're going to be on few credits, but we can always install, hit this, click for credit. So it's okay. Not having a lot of counters. That's bad. At least we kept the spin dock. Oh, whoops. And we can gank this. We'll just hope that we gank. Yeah, we'll just override it. Because in theory, if he runs into the on sell and can't click through it, especially if we ganked it, if he runs here and hits the beautiful 1 and 5, and mind you, like we have no strat to score these agendas until MCA shows up. But I think he's going to start pressuring R&D because there's no bad face check here. Oh, it's an on sell. I think we res on sell. Just because if it hits the ganked, we win. Why not keep the Gatekeeper? It blanks a Boomerang. Isn't that worth 1 credit? It blanks it anyways. But I see what you mean. Yeah, maybe you're right. I think maybe you are right. That we should have just kept it. So you just click through it. If he hits the ganked, it's a blowout. Yes! Yes! The 1 and 5. So, trash installed runner card. You may install 1 card from HQ or archives. The runner cannot steal a trash. Okay, fuck off, turtle. And we can get either the gank back on HQ, which he has to hit infinitely. We just destroyed his board state. Wait, you have to access the gank. We hit the combo. The new rules. If I add a candidate mid-breach, you have to access it. I break a Koge with a shiv and the whole world is mine. Wait, that is it? Yeah, and on the last one, we actually can install a different card if we need to. But I think we're actually pretty okay with that. Yeah, we did it. That technically did it, which is so wild. And he can't trash this ganked. Not that it matters, but like, got him. Got him good. Okay, so what's our turn? Poor Eric, I don't know. Couldn't escape legal analysis. All right, so we won't pay. No. We'll res. Oh man, agendas for days. Agendas for days. So we'll draw. We'll subliminal. Gain a click. And I think we want to just clear agendas out of here. We want to score the Cyberdeck sandboxes sooner than anything else. We've seen an inside job, 1 boomerang. Yeah, we're going to hit nano for sure. But I think we want to draw once more just to not flood up. Because this on cell doesn't do anything. Actually, no, it technically does. I can't draw anymore. Oh, because this has to be this click, right? Double game. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, this is a mirror morph click, yeah. I was trying to jam it, and the mirror morph click forces you to do something different. I think you actually could trash it if you decline to fire it last. No, because the runner cannot steal trash corp cards for the remainder of this run. And that triggered on the on-sell, right? Can Eric run click through the no trash because it's the first time? Yes, if he runs here, he can click through one and come through. You're right. If he has no board state, this doesn't matter. What is this? Oh, a Fairchild too. Don't mind if I do, Eric. So he has to lose his 2 credits and take a brain damage. Oh, oh, I take no joy in this. Lost a diversion. Lost all his money. He's going to get it back with bravado. Oh, no, 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 no. Wait, hold on. I might have got a bit excited there. I meant to hit that button. Oh no! Eric, don't do this. That's a legitimate... I don't see how that's relevant. You learned a new rule. Isn't that nice? Undo the click, Eric. Undo it. I'm going punitive you. He'll be a fine lawyer. I know. Eric Drew. Yeah, bricks like Eric Drew. We can't take it back. And you saw how quickly he drew? Eric, god damn it. I am unhappy with you. And myself, if that changes anything. Just use /summon. I know. I can't give this to him. Piece of shit. Okay, let's go. This guy. This fucking... That's on me. Obviously, that's on me, and Eric's giving me a hard time, but whatever. So, how do we deal with this nano etching? Like, we can't over-install it. So, like, we could put this out and rob a click, but we need a piece of ice here. 2 ganked doesn't really do anything with most of our ice. I think we want to ganked on R&D. No, he's not going to do it. He's not going to do it. It's fine. Oh, we're on 1 credit. I forgot about that. That probably changes the turn a bit. Oh, fuck. Is Eric that Nisei playtester guy? Yeah, that's one way of describing him. So wait, it's a Rashid out here, but I can't ice it up with the nano etching click. So I think I made a mistake here. Because we have to do something different. I thought we'd be able to ice this up, but we can't. So obviously huge mistake. We'll pre-res this. Yeah, that's not good. Just drag that off second R&D. I really should do as well. Like, we're going to lose to this because things are going pretty good otherwise. He's taking down the nano etching, which is fine because we wanted that server anyways. And we're going to get 2 credits from this. Should I have him back on stream again? Yeah, it was fun. I like Eric a fair bit. We just have to swear a bit less, I reckon. Oh, man. I'm going to gank Eric into a DNA, and he's going to be really unhappy with me. It's a different thing with Subliminal. You get the click back and get double to one thing. So what makes it so nice? Yeah, no, the click back into something is so powerful. All right, well, we have an uphill fight, but we will fight it. That's for sure. Fair bit. Jogging, how's it going? All right, charging into it. I'm just going to res a Hagen. Just going to end the run. I don't have anything to trash. We're on 3 credits. It's enough to res the Ravana, which is perfect. He's playing 419 versus a fun jank. Eric always does this, and we talked about this before. He's like, man, I play a fun deck, and you come in and stomp, and he's like, yeah, what can you do? I'm like, okay, that's, I guess, what can you do? Okay, so we install this on here. We'll be at 2 credits. Then we hit this and click for credit. That's fine. I just don't want him to inside job this. He also only has 3 clicks. So Eric Andre is fun, but not as fun as Eric Andre. Hey, Andre, we need to note this down and get revenge later on. No, this stuff goes straight into a notebook. I'll bring it up later. So we're going to score out the Cyberdeck sandbox here, right? That seems good. Oh, we have a subliminal. Oh, wow, look at this hand. We've drawn every agenda besides food. Oh, no, that's not actually true. We haven't drawn our luminal. Gain a click. Nope. We will subliminal. Purge. Yeah, seems good. I'm playing a fun deck. I don't know. Play fun things agenda casual area. That's what you could do. Yeah. I think you would just click for credit. We can install something behind here as well, but there's not much we can do with it next turn. I'd rather just click for credit. We've seen 2 diversions so far. This is some of the funniest Netrunner content I've seen in a minute. It's going okay, honestly. Oh, Bagalter is scary. But the potentially triple ganked, throwing out the Amina, it can be a problem. We get subliminal back. Oh my god. Do I Helheim him? I think we want to just do the remote server. Cool thing about Helheim, only during a run on this server. Like if he's running HQ, we actually can trash every card in HQ so that the only thing is ganked. I think that's the play. So that you force him into the gank repeatedly and we wipe his board again? That seems like that would be the play, right? How much is it to go through this thing? 1, 2, 3, a lot. I think we just hope that these are good enough. Oh, I meant to get the credit. Oh, beans. He's not going to stop me from this. Huh? Huh? I think I broke the mirror morph turn. Never mind. Yeah, I think I broke the mirror morph turn. So, oh no, that did work. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we want to put this, we're gonna subliminal, we'll put this in a remote server. Yes. Then we'll click for credit, which we'll use to gain a credit, and then we'll put this on top. That is our turn. Cool. So if he goes HQ, it'll likely be bad for him. Someone driving a lawnmower down the street? Falsified credentials exposing a sandbox? I can't believe the solution for Fortnite is to play in a pocket corp. What is that? Guessing upgrade. He has 8 credits now to Helheim servers, so I could pre-res this, but I don't really feel like I need to. He's got 2 falsifieds down. Deuce is wild. Drop. So he knows we can't score out the sandbox. We have a subliminal into another subliminal. Not really something you want to do. Credit. What are we gonna do? I think we just take 2 credits here, right? Okay. I probably could advance that one more time. Shuffled in one of these, and then I think we shuffle in. We want to keep a card that we can reinstall with the on-sell triggers. So I think we'll shuffle in the hedge fund. Put Ganked in remote. Yeah, Ganked in remote's not bad. This purges and gets us 8 credits, so money seems okay. Now we just need to draw the food. Imagine we had 0 agenda points here. Oh, double Rizeki. He's going real slow here. Look at all these subliminals. What do they mean? We have a Ravana, threw out an Amakua, threw out a Mina. I don't want to do triple sandbox though. We'll draw once. Yeah, Rashida's good. So sandbox, we'll gain a click, or sorry, a credit. And I think this remote server is going to fall apart eventually. I think we want to do a DNA tracker on the outside here. I just don't know how we're going to lose on centrals. Okay. Honestly, there's a chance that we should have thrown out the hedge fund instead of the subliminal. Kind of. Maybe not, but this seems really important. Okay, turning wheel. To Ravana. Unfortunately, it can't be ganked. But he has to double click through this or it'll be disastrous. And again, not that many agendas left in the deck. So res Rashida. Okay, so that's the winning agenda. So we could just do install, advance. We'd be on 14 credits. And he has 11 credits and we have a Helheim on a Hagen. I think we just jam, right? If only we ganked RD, we would win that turn. Yeah, if we had a ganked on RD, we could have won that turn. I think that's for sure. There's nothing that reinstalls on this, so it's not amazing. I think we just jammed this. I'm assuming that's enough money. Whew. I think we could just jam here. If we get a gank, like the only thing it does a DNA tracker, it doesn't do like a super turn. Yeah, I think we just jam. Because he has to click through this. If he hits a ganked here, it's so bad. It actually infinites. It's gonna happen. Oh man, I think we're gonna wipe his whole board. I think we can wipe his whole board. He can hit so many ganks here. Ganked, yes. That's bad, yeah. So, yeah. GG no re. This looks like a problem. Oh my god, this is amazing. Pay one, pay one, pay one. He has to do it manually. Sets credit, breaks all three. Okay, cool. Hedge fund. Sandbox. Oh no. And another gank. So he missed another gank, but this one fires. Choose installed card to trash. Okay. Install a card from archives or HQ. I guess in HQ. No. That ganked fires. Holy shit. You don't need to do anything that ridiculous. Just an on-sell ganked on its own is just ridiculous. He has no board state. I appreciate it. Good game, man. This interaction is nutty. We Corpocalypse him. We apocalypsed him. We figured it out. He has no cards. You didn't get to see the fun part. Oh no. Does he have black file? Oh yeah. Look at you. Any number centuries. That's my barrier breaker. Wait, what? Wait, what? Is this another goof? Shrike and Shiv? Wait, does this say Fractor on it at some point? This breaks barriers? No. What? Okay. Hold on. So this was corrected. The cards were corrected, and they say the wrong things. Shrike is a killer, but Nisei accidentally corrected it, so it breaks barrier subroutines. Oh, that's amazing. Oh man, nice. It's the fight of the 1.5 rules I did. Yeah, so there's a card that was played this that Eric played during the Eternal tournament. Unfortunately, Shiv now breaks code gates. It should be a killer. Yeah, so the text on these got swapped. Yeah, so that's just really fun. I didn't know that. They'll sort that out. They'll sort that out. Thanks for the game, man. Good luck with your school stuff. Should do Tails sealed soon. Oh man, that's great. Always a pleasure, Eric. Yeah. Cool. All right, we got it. So real talk, without any of the nonsense, like out of any of the nonsense necessary to get like an infinite combo that's lethal, just a single on cell with a single ganked seems immensely powerful. Way more powerful than a drafter, because a drafter you just reinstall it over and over again and add cards to hand. This, like, we could have Helheimed it if we really need to. Obviously, you can click through it, but like that on its own just wipes boards. Are we getting the ruling wrong? Because I don't think we're getting ruling wrong. Your bonus for getting to spin is a very powerful strategy. Yeah, whatever, Eric. Nice board state. Good game, man. I hope to employ in future games. That's the Paul up tag. Just more proof that no one knows the names of any of the Sunny's breakers. Yeah, we brought that up today. Nobody knows what they do. Apparently they break barriers. That is awesome. Okay, I need to try more of that at some point. Unfortunately, right now it's midnight, so I'm gonna have to close the stream, but that's buck wild. I did not think that would operate anywhere near as much as it would. You could have ganked Ansel on all servers. Yeah, you could. Ravana was technically an Ansel ganked. You can't do the can't trash subroutine. You do the first two, but like Ravana is really hard to break. Are you getting it right? This is the new meta infinite ganked meta, baby. Oh my god. Hopefully this does something. But we also played Fairchild to get brain damage on the Ravana, so we have a way to infinite gank to also do damage to death. But I don't think you need to do wet work refit. I think on its own you can just do wild stuff here, and we do have a threat. I feel like we can make our deck way more optimized to trigger Mirror Morph more actively with things like red level clearance or restore. But the shell was fine. Maybe even Mirror Morph isn't the right thing, but the MCA seemed good. Imagine he let you still spin the doctors in. Now it looks close, but that's what you want. You want exciting games. I'm stoked to see a semi-viable buy right deck. Yeah, right. Yeah, lateral growth brick I think is good. Maybe it's better than red level clearance, but I think I value both of them. Anywho, that's going to be it for today. Again, I'm going to update the show notes in about 10 minutes when this gets up. So if you're watching on YouTube and you want to get any of the links that we're talking about, whether it's any of the streams for last weekend, whether it's the stream that's going to be happening this weekend, check all that stuff up. Lateral over hedge? I don't know, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Are there any other ice this works worth to install from archives? I think the only ones are Drafter and... Okay, no. It's Drafter. On Cell, I don't think there's any others. I really don't think there's any others. I've seen people play Brawn with Loot Box, but that doesn't work the exact same way. That installs an ice, but not a card in like the root. So that might be it. Maybe. I think that might be it. Anywho, we'll be back in a week. Thanks so much to everybody who we played games with, especially Eric. But everyone also who's watching stream, watching the VOD. I just totally lost my track of thought. I'm just saying thank you to everyone. Everyone we played games with, everybody who's watching the VOD, everyone who's watching in chat. Hopefully you're doing well. I want to see this with Mwanza. Oh my god, Mwanza can make infinite money. That's also a really good point. You can make infinite econ with Mwanza as well. And Mwanza's only like one influence for some reason. Well, that's largely it. We'll be back in a week. Take care, y'all.